Are you one of those people?
I would say I'm pretty. Yeah, I'd say I'm okay with mix and matching.
Yeah.
I try to keep the pairs together, but it's not a do or die situation.
I'm like
Where do
the
you stand?
complete opposite of the spectrum. Like I literally have socks that say left and right. And one time I put on 2 lefts and I was like running late. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I was probably late for the podcast.
I think that's the sign of someone who's mentally unstable.
Wow. Okay.
Or mentally stable. That everything. No,
I think it could also change with the seasons. Like in the winter or something, when you're wearing pants. I mean, other than Taylor, he's always fucking wearing shorts. I mean, except for today, which would be a perfect example. Your different color socks might be more visible than not.
Yeah, but like, are you able to wear ankle socks with pants? Because I can't. I'd have to have long socks with.
I'm
pants.
not really an ankle sock guy. I like it to go at least to my kneecap.
Even with shorts, or you don't wear shorts?
I do wear shorts. I still wear. I don't know. I guess I don't really think about it too much. I just throw on a pair.
You don't like ankle socks with pants? You get that nice little open area where the breeze comes in. It feels so good.
It's like, what if
Taylor's got the strategy?
What if I got like a whiff of cold air on my ankle and it stops me in my tracks?
Yeah,
what if someone's chasing me and then I just get a cold breeze to my ankle and I just
Speaking of a cold breeze to the ankle, this welcome to the Geeks podcast. This is our Zombieland review. Sometimes I like to keep a little extra in there at the start. It's kind of fun.
I didn't realize you started. I like the candidness though. It's fun.
It's a ninja. It's a ninja zombie. This is going to be our review of Zombieland 2. If you want to go back and listen to our retro, I think it was a pretty fun episode. We went through the fun facts and just talked about what we thought about that movie. And finally, after 10 years, a full decade pretty much, the sequel is finally out.
Right off the bat, I have a question for you guys. I don't know if I missed it in the movie. Do they explain the specific time that it's like been since the first movie?
They don't.
Okay.
We'll get in all that in a second,
yeah.
But I am your host, Adam Hartcaster, Dylan Muss. Who am I joined by?
I am your friendly neighborhood Kirkland Caster. I haven't done my
that actually. It's a Spider-Man name, but it kind of fits the Zombieland aesthetic, I would say.
Friendly neighborhood,
because they're going from neighborhood to neighborhood. Not a lot of friendliness though.
There's some friendliness in there. If you go to Babylon,
gotta go to Babylon. Mr. Field,
I am your.
You gotta have a name related to it, don't you?
I'm the Murrayed Taylor Field.
Oh, okay, that's good. I like that. It's not too much of a spoiler. It's not really a spoiler.
I thought he said married at first. I'm like, Taylor, I feel like I haven't seen
That's
you
what
in a
I
while.
thought it was in the movie. Before we get into the specifics, a couple things to promote. Most important thing is November 2nd. Come check out our yearly 24-hour stream, raising money for the BC Children's Hospital. It's a good cause. We'll be starting, November 2nd, probably 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll just be playing a bunch of games, having some gauntlet matches. It is going to be pretty fun. It's going to be our 4th 24-hour stream, 3rd, charity one.
I hear it's mostly just the 4 of us too.
Yeah.
A
lot of people canceling, people traveling places, doing stuff, new jobs.
It'll be interesting.
It's going to be the 4 that
we're going to be holding it down.
Yeah.
We'll be bringing it for sure.
As well, I'll go over to our Facebook page. We have all these fun Halloween polls going on right now.
Round 2
is starting tonight, isn't it?
Starting this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tonight. It's going to be good.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome. Good. It's been fun.
Absolutely.
I don't know most of these characters. I'm going to be honest, but a lot of my vote is like, oh, this is a cool looking werewolf guy. I
think I've only voted on the ones that I've known at least one character. If I don't know either of them, I kind of feel like a fraudulent voter. So I'm just.
I wonder how many of the people that's true for as well on the page. They just want to vote because it's fun.
Yeah.
What else? Last week, you and Travis did El Camino review.
Yes, so go check it out. It was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Go check out our Joker review. Next week we'll be doing Lighthouse review. Also, Outer Worlds comes out next week, so I am super excited for that. Taylor's gonna get it on Game Pass, possibly.
Yeah, I'm gonna join you on that for Game Pass. I just realized that Modern Warfare drops the same day as Outer Worlds, so I'm gonna be juggling those two because I want to get a Modern Warfare review out to the fans. So.
Well, that's sweet. We got some good gaming content as well as Luigi's Mansion, Death Stranding, Jedi Fallen Order. There's a lot of gaming content, which is pretty exciting. And the last thing I want to promote is me and Travis are actually guesting on the Super Civil Servants podcast, which is hosted by Greg the Bat Dad, who if you've been watching the Geekverse for a while, you already know who this is. He's just a longtime fan. He's probably been in the Geekverse supporting us for, I want to say 3 years at this point, at least awesome. 2. I can easily say at least 2, but he's been around the block. He's on our Patreon. He's helping us out. Yeah. And a few months ago, he started his podcast, which is mostly focused on DC stuff and as well just comic book stuff in general. And so me and Travis are going to guest on there. We're doing a Joker review as well as some other news and stuff. So we're recording that tonight. I'm not sure when it'll go live, but I listen to them on Spotify. So that's where I would listen, or I don't know, they're probably on iTunes and all the other great places to listen. So go check that out. It's going to be a fun episode. And that leads us right into Zombieland 2. Zombieland Doubletap. Is 2 in the title?
No.
I keep getting confused.
I was lucky. I was on my Atom app.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't know, it's just how I get my tickets, my movie tickets.
Mhm,
And I was looking for Zombieland 2, and I swear I scrolled through the movies like 3 times because I was looking for just Zombieland 2.
I would say it's a pretty
I
standout.
it was
like
Zombieland Doubletap.
Oh, okay, I see.
I'm looking for the title.
Oh, you search by title. Yeah. I like to scroll first, and I can never find what I'm looking for. There's always like a bunch of movies I never heard of. I'm like, how does this even happen? Like, I don't know.
I eventually found it, and it is Zombieland Doubletap. No 2 in the title.
Fair enough. Well, if you haven't been on our reviews before, we always start with a spoiler-free section, just give our overall thoughts, and kind of recommend if it's worth going to the theater before we jump into the full spoiler discussion, which is going to be fun. Who wants to start us off today?
I'll take it away since nobody's taking the lead. Zombieland 2, 10 years after the first one. I was definitely nervous like going into this movie just because I felt like it was probably going to be similar to like an Anchorman 2 or like a Zoolander 2, like not necessarily like what the movie is, but just that
the amount of time, that era of comedy.
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like if you don't, I don't know, like maybe a good way to say is like,
and you weren't too hot on the first one either when we rewatched it for the retro.
No, like when it first came out 10 years ago, I feel like it was so like original and unique and like something different from just a comedy as well as like a zombie movie that had been released to that point. So it was just something new and fun and totally like a stoner comedy. I feel like just that type of humor.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous sometimes, but no, I really loved it at the time, and it's a very quotable movie. Just the nut up or shut up and just some of the other things they say in that movie. But then just following like the path of Anchorman 2 of that really was not going well, and Zoolander 2. I hadn't seen it, but I just heard it definitely does not hold up to the first one. So I kind of was anticipating the same thing going into this one. So my expectations were really low, and I don't know if that helped it, but overall, I actually really enjoyed this movie. There's definitely parts that I had issues with it, and there were certain parts where I was just thinking to myself like, man, this should have came out like sooner to the first one.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know, I feel like they're just trying to, I don't know, like make it seem like a sequel that hadn't been like a decade after.
Right.
And it definitely like was visible, like just like certain actors, like they're just like as aged a lot. Like I'll just like Abigail, obviously, she was the youngest one in that.
Little Rock.
Little Rock, yes. Sorry, I should probably use their character names. I'll go with their character names in case people don't know the actors or actresses. But obviously she was like kind of a, I don't know if I'd call it a child actor or actress. Would it be a child if they're like a teenager?
She's I don't know, not
Still
a child actor, but definitely quite
not
young.
an adult.
Yeah.
So like obviously when you see like a kid age, like they just age way more than an adult would. So obviously she looked like she had aged a lot, but also just Emma Stone, she just looks like, I don't know what her age was when the first one came out, but she just definitely seems.
Well, we talked about this on the retro. Like Emma Stone had some weird fake tan going on during that movie that just makes it looks a bit jarring when you're used to like her in all these massive movies. Now she has like her Oscars and stuff. So going back, I was like, what were they doing with this makeup here?
Oh yeah, and they're like very like eyeshadow. It was like heavy, just very like dark, grungy looking character. But so yeah, she looked like she had aged. Woody Harrelson just looked identical, and I must say the same with Columbus. I almost call him Mark Zuckerberg. What the hell's that guy's name? Jesse Eisenberg.
He does look identical.
He does look identical. So
hasn't aged a minute.
Yeah. So like just I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's certain moments where I was just like, man, this could have came out just so much sooner. It probably would have done well. But then there's also moments that I'm like, man, this is kind of working. Like they're kind of taking the fact that it has been a decade and just kind of playing with certain things. Like there's one point they kind of are talking about like the idea of Uber and like how ridiculous it sounds, but like obviously now in 2019 it's so like, popular. So it was kind of fun, like certain humor that they had in there. And there was definitely moments that they're trying to like kind of give like a fan service, like a throwback to like the first movie,
right?
Where it's like, oh, like this is a joke from the first movie. So if you've seen the first movie, like
I think there was like a mix of it. Like some of it was kind of over the top, where it was like, remember this line, but then some of it was actually really subtle, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like there was definitely moments where they were trying to throw back to the first movie, but also it wasn't overbearing. It wasn't too much, so I felt like it was sprinkled in pretty good. There was a couple times where maybe like the throwback humor didn't fully work with me, but I'd say the majority of it worked because it wasn't overbearing. Like I said, it was sprinkled in there kind of strategically, and I appreciated it. It wasn't just like, remember the first movie? Remember how funny that one was? This is what this movie is. Like it didn't feel like that. So I really liked it. There's definitely, they introduced more characters into this one.
They did.
So
they did.
Yeah, it was. I feel like I was 50-50 on the new characters.
I would say the same.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll just pass it off, I guess.
We'll get into that in spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler stuff. But overall, if you've seen the first one, I would recommend it. I'm trying to think if it's worthy of like a movie theater thing.
Definitely Cheap Tuesday.
Cheap Tuesday, definitely. If you've seen the first one and you like the first one, I would definitely recommend it to a Cheap Tuesday. If you love the first one, maybe go to a full price. But
well, speaking of someone who does love the first one,
yes.
Where do you land on this one?
Feel the Fields.
We were having a lot of fun in the theater, I will say, watching it. It kind of reminded me of our Predator experience. We're just laughing and stuff. I don't know. It sounded like you were having a good time.
I was having a really good time. There were so many things that just tickled my bone, and it was just so good. Like,
I'm not even gonna ask what bone.
There was just so many things that were just very, very comedically well done, I'd say. And I have to say, like, when it started, I got really excited, and like even the intro part, like the like intro like creations or whatever you call that, like
out in the field,
yeah,
kind of like the trailer scene, really.
Before that, like when they're loading up like the companies that are involved. If you see the movie, you'll know. I'm not going to say what it is, but it's just cool when like the Paramount logo pops up, and there's just. You remember what the Paramount lady who holds...
I don't think that's really a spoiler. You can talk about it.
Okay.
It's literally in the first, 10 seconds of the movie.
Okay. Well, the Paramount lady's, standing there with a torch, and then I, jumped because you hear... Oh! And, the zombies running towards the Paramount lady, and she just fucking smacks him down.
I thought that was fun.
Very clever,
I liked it.
But I that got me excited, and then when it cut in and the slow motion scene was what?
I think you're freaking out too much about these spoilers. This is a more complicated movie than the first one, but not by much. There's not a ton to spoil, I guess. But
okay, well,
the trailer scene.
Yeah, the trailer scene.
The big trailer scene out in the field where they're just shooting guns.
Exactly.
That's what the movie starts.
It's good how the movie starts off, and I was just getting really excited and all that. And then as the story progressed, I was getting more excited. I really like the jokes. I really like the introduction of a lot of these characters, and I felt like this whole setting in general feels different from the first movie in a sense of I feel like everyone is actually in danger, and there's an actual risk factor in this movie, especially the risk of being bitten or something. And I like the aspect of seeing the virus kind of in that sense where, people get bit and there's turning and you can see the change and you just see how it reacts because it was very subtle in the first movie.
In the first one, they just got eaten alive. It's not like they got bit and then you see the transition.
You don't really get the
it's
full
just
transformation.
Guts are flying everywhere.
So I liked how they had more creativity in that, and this isn't much of a spoiler, but I love that they focused on the rules again and brought that in, and they really emphasized it, and I really loved and appreciated that.
Yeah, I like that because they did it well, like they did in the first one, where something will be happening that's related to having good cardio, and then it's just in the background. It's not like it goes to a screen.
Sometimes
cardio.
Sometimes he'll talk about it from a narrator's point of view, but then sometimes it's just something subtle in the background, cardio, stretching between his legs or something.
They had that in the first film, and I really like that they did it similar way in the second one.
Yeah, I liked all the characters, and I'll get more into them in the spoilers review. But it was just I'm very happy with it. I liked it much more than the first one. I thought it was definitely worth going to the theater for, and I would definitely pay a full price to see this movie
again.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't technically pay. We exclusive GB membership. But I would pay.
I would pay. I wanted to ask you this, Taylor, because you love the first one so much. Were your expectations?
He watches it every 7 months. Don't forget it.
7 months.
Were your expectations high going into this, or were they low? Because
Travis really soured it for me.
Yeah,
he really put a downer on, and I was expecting to go in and be disappointed and just be a whatever movie. But then when I was in there and I started to chuckle, I was like, "This is actually really good. It's really, really good."
Yeah, that's good.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, and I'm pleasantly surprised by it because I was by the trailers. I like the first movie. I think it's a fun movie, but it's very, very simple. When we first started the retro last time, it was what's there to break down here? There's really no story aspect.
Yeah.
There's not really much. So this movie is, I guess, a little bit more complicated than that. But the trailers didn't get me super excited. I didn't like the style of humor they're going for. But it ended up working for me for the most part. And overall, I would just describe it as just like a fun time at the theater. It's a good popcorn flick.
Yeah.
Just kick back, have some stupid laughs. There's some good action scenes. Like there's definitely a lot bigger budget for this movie.
Yeah, it felt like there's a lot more action compared to the first one.
And it's not even just like CGI zombies. There is some, I'm guessing, like bigger scenes when it's like zoomed out and stuff. But for the most part, the up close and personal zombie scenes, it's all just makeup and stuff. And I think they did a good job there as well. So yeah, overall, it's just like a really fun movie. And I like the comedy for the like vast majority of it. Like this movie has, I feel like it's a lot more of, like it was intended to be a lot more of a ha-ha sort of laughing movie, whereas the first movie I feel is quite a bit more of, I don't know, it's a little more down to earth, and it's like just little jokes here or there, not meant to elicit you to falling on the ground like laughing so hard. This one's a little bit more over the top with the comedy, and that works. Yeah, like surprisingly for the most part. There is a couple characters that I was just getting annoyed by. I was like, did this character really need to be here? Like, I think you could have got the same spot in the plot without this character. But then there's a couple new characters that I enjoyed as well. There is definitely some things that surprised me about this movie that, I mean, I'm not going to talk about them now in the spoilers for sure. But overall, I really liked it. And I would definitely recommend, if you're a fan of the first one, or even if you like just watched the first one back in the day and haven't watched it recently, not sure if you should go to this one, I'd say go to it because you don't really need any information from the first movie. It's kind of all set up quickly in the start here. But yeah, there's definitely some weird things. Like this movie doesn't really care much about the reality of the situation. There's a lot of very unrealistic stuff. I'd say even more so than the first movie, just because the first movie is so simple that you kind of accept some things, but it doesn't, there's nothing that would like break the plot. Whereas this time there's some things that don't make any sense at all, and like I'll definitely bring them up. Oh yeah. But yet they don't bother me that much because the movie doesn't take itself seriously. So neither should I. Is the way I see it. Definitely
moments where I felt the exact same. Probably like more closer to like the beginning of the film. But then I just like had to remind myself, I'm like, this is just a comedy flick, right? Like get your mind out of like the whole comparing it to like The Walking Dead of like the realism of the whole situation. Where it's just like I'm just here for a good time. So once I had that realization, I just enjoyed it a lot more. So that was good.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll say, non-spoilers, is those aspects of the first movie where there's like the zombie kill of the week or the rules. I think those are used in a really fun way here. It feels like there's a little bit of continuation there, but it still feels like that's what made the first movie unique is those features, because it kind of takes you out of the movie and it makes it's not like this narrator has more information than makes sense, right? Like he's talking about things that happen like on the other side of the country. It's like, how does he know about that? It's not explained. Doesn't really matter. Same thing happens here, but it's still fun. There's one in particular that just fucking had me and Taylor just rolling. It's so good. So yeah, overall, I would definitely recommend it to the theater. I don't think it's a must see in the theater. If you just watch it on Netflix later, I think you'll get all that you need out of it. But yeah, it's a fun movie.
No,
and,
for sure.
I mean, after these kind of movies, after this long, it just doesn't go well. Like it's proven to not work. But this, unless you take the Blade Runner approach and wait 30 fucking years and then you do the sequel, that worked. But yeah, it worked here, and I'm pleasantly surprised by it. And
me as well.
I think this is another one like we talked about a lot in the retro. But the first movie, it's just like an easy movie to watch, easy movie for Taylor to put on. You know, it's a short movie. It's simple. If you have to do something, you're gone for 10 minutes. You're not going to miss much. It's easy, and I think this one will be that as well. I could see myself when this hits Netflix or Disney Plus, wherever the fuck it goes. I could see myself putting this on every once in a while. Yeah. And I'm curious what kind of effect it will have on Golden Geeks, because I haven't even thought about that yet.
No, yeah.
It's hard to compare that to some really high quality stuff, I guess. But yeah, any other points, non-spoiler wise?
I'll quickly mention, because I don't feel like it's a spoiler, but in this one they introduced like a different like new classes of zombie, which I thought was cool, because
they've evolved since the first movie.
In the first one they're all just, I don't even know what they called them, just zombies.
I don't think they really had a name, right? Because they're all just the same.
And it was like there wasn't big moments of like, oh, this type of zombie is after us. It's just like anytime they came across a zombie, it was the same situation. Whereas this one, they introduced like different types of zombies that kind of have different skills, I guess you could call it. So I actually really liked it. It worked for me, especially.
But once again, it fits in with like the rules and the zombie kill the week aspect of it, right? Where it feels like kind of video game like.
Yeah, and it added like a new like variable to the whole like situation that they're in.
And then it ties back into the story where there's like a boss.
Yeah,
this particular
exactly. So. I like that they did that.
Any other points from you, Mr. Field?
No, I'm ready to get into spoilers.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Spoiler warning.
Geek first.
Oh yeah, I guess
Assemble.
go for it. Yeah.
Good job.
Nailed it.
I got one thing.
That's more Travis's thing. So I wasn't gonna go for it, but I respect it.
I got one thing. I need to get out of the way. I've been thinking on it, and when you see that like declaration of that, what is it? That like bill of it was like a pardon, like an official pardon for Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking like,
pardon.
yeah, like what is that for exactly? Just the fact that I had Wesley Snipes in there made me laugh, but like
I don't know, like maybe it means that Wesley Snipes had came to the White House after this all went down, and he was fucking around there too, signing stuff, and he's like the new president. I have no idea. It was a weird moment.
The only thing that made me think of it is I know that Wesley Snipes was like in trouble for tax evasion or something, so I thought it was something similar to that, and I'm like, oh, he's just pardoning him, even though that happened like
out for your
years ago. So yeah.
It's just a very strange name because you don't really hear people talking about him. Even like even though Blade's getting this new thing, you don't hear people talk about Wesley Snipes much these days. So it was a strange character or human being, I should say, to bring up. He feels like a character, doesn't he? Where do we want to start on this? I think I want to jump into these new characters.
I was going to say the same.
Before even the old characters, but there's kind of 5 main new characters, I would say, and then there's a couple that have like a couple scenes or something. But overall, like just a lot more characters than the previous movie had, where we talked about in the retro. Like there's your 4 main cast, 406, and Bill Murray, and that's your entire cast. Whereas there's a few more this time. Where Madison? Let's start with Madison. Peace out, Madison. So this is like, two of these characters, Madison, and then. I can't remember what's the hippie guy. Do we remember his name?
Berkeley.
Berkeley. That's a good call. Those two, they're strange to me because they're like full on caricatures, right? Like they're over the top. They are not real human beings.
No.
They're just way over the top, which is not really the case. Like it's a zombie movie, like a comedic zombie movie, so that's fine. It like fits in, but the characters in the original movie aren't really like that. Like they're realistic. They have not too much dynamic to them, but at least they feel real. Whereas these characters are just wild.
Oh, definitely,
right?
yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about the Madison character. Like, you know, she chokes on those peanuts, which I kind of figured was happening. I didn't think she was actually turning into a zombie just because I feel like they really brought attention to them eating these nuts. Which when have you ever in either of these movies seen them eat anything?
I didn't even notice her eating.
Like survival aspect is not taken into account for these movies, so I just thought it was kind of strange. So I kind of thought so, but when she came back, I was like, okay, I don't need more of this character.
Yeah, I was. I guess I'll just talk about that same part. I didn't actually see her like eating the nuts, so I thought that was just how they ended the character, and I bought his Columbus's acting. I'm like, oh, he really did it. He's really torn up about
Shot
it.
her, double tapped.
But I just quickly want to say it because I don't want to forget it. But when it's leading up to the point where they're all like, "Oh, what are we gonna do here? We're gonna basically kill her." And then Tallahassee, Woody Harrelson, he's like, "Well, I would offer to do it, but I don't want to sound selfish. So if anyone else wants to go."
His hate for her is great. Like even in the goodbye scene at the very end, he's like, just can't put his hand on her.
Oh yeah, no. I must say though, I think he hated that vehicle more than her, the minivan.
I love that. Honestly, I mean, we're talking about Madison right now, but I fucking loved Woody Harrelson so much in this movie.
Yeah.
He had me cracking up more than anyone. Just his rage at every little thing.
100%.
Just had me.
Yeah. I'll just quickly say it. He was definitely like my S tier for this whole film. I think he like out of everyone, he just brought it. Like he was just the exact same character that he was in the first one, and he just cranked it up a notch. And I loved everything he had in that film. But going back to Madison, because I was kind of derailing it there. But her humor, like her first introduction of the character, it was definitely her first introduction into the movie for that character. I was just, oh yeah, like this is the route we're going. Okay, like
you can kind of tell from the trailer too. Like, oh, that's the kind of character.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like in that moment, it was still kind of earlier in the film, so I was in that we're like, oh, okay, I have to like take myself out of like the realism factor of this film, and then like once I kind of got used to her being in there, that's when it was like, okay, this is just a comedic film. So get that aspect out of the way.
Yeah.
But
I just want to know how she survived, right? Like I don't understand. Yes, she was chilling in a freezer for. I mean, we'll talk about that, but how long the time period is. But she's just chilling in a freezer for like a very long time, surviving. She's very stupid, so I don't know how she survives. It doesn't make sense to me. That's one thing where it's like plot wise, doesn't make any sense.
She just always has her makeup done and everything. She's
that
always,
too. It's like what's the point?
But that's where you got to take it away. It's not a realistic movie. But like her, like the way that they used her, I feel like 50% of the humor hit for me, and 50% I was just getting annoyed.
That's pretty fair.
And
because she's in a lot. Actually.
Yeah, she is, and
like she's in this movie more than Little Rock even.
Yeah,
she has more lines.
Absolutely. And when they brought her back, like in like the ice cream truck or whatever the thing was, the clown car, I was just like so confused because I just had no idea how the hell they're gonna bring her or like write it, like just make it make sense on how she's back. So I was just like, oh, what the fuck? I totally thought we were done with her. And then that's definitely
it's kind
where
of a funny joke when she's like, I found a freezer on wheels. Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely like. I feel like the things that she was saying wasn't so much like the humor that worked for me. It was like people reacting to her, especially like Woody Harrelson.
Well, I think the way I describe that character is like the actress's comedic timing was really good. I thought it was just like that character. I mean, is intentionally annoying somewhat, but it was just too much for me. A lot of the movie, like I think you could have cut some of her scenes and shaved a few minutes off this movie, and it would have just been a better experience overall. But yeah, I think from the actress's point of view, like she nailed what that character is supposed to be. And sometimes like just her little lines, how she would like quickly sneak them in there, or when she would be sarcastic back, or when she would just like give some attitude to Emma Stone, to Wichita. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, so. I probably should have phrased that better. Like the I forget the actress's name, but she was in that film with Bryan Cranston and fucking James Franco. Have you guys seen that one?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but
it's like Not Him.
I didn't see
that's what it's called. Well, she's like
he's like the father.
Yeah, so she's why him? Thank you, Taylor. So she's like the daughter in it, and I really liked her in that film. So seeing her, I believe it was her as that role. I really hope it is because I'm putting all my chips on her.
A lot of marbles in that basket.
But no, she did a really good job acting wise. Like just her body language, like when she did the little piece, like Madison, just like that sort of thing, and then. There was another really funny line when they're in the White House, and then Woody Harrelson, like, he kind of makes like a quick joke, and she's walking away. She's like, he's kind of funny, eh? After just like hating him. It was just like her delivery for what the character was written as was really good, but just the writing for the character, I think it was a little too much for me personally. Yeah. Maybe there's some people that loved it.
I think maybe it was just raw screen time. Like, that kind of character gets overdone easily, and they definitely didn't take that into account, I think. Or maybe that was the point of it, too.
It's a good way of saying it. What do you think of Madison, Taylor?
I think you're more positive on her than
I am more positive. Now,
I think it's biasy.
Take out the fact that I'm actually dating a Madison. I think that her character was actually like completely unbiased. She was hilarious, and I was really upset when she died in the movie because I thought she was
the
really
first time.
Funny. Yeah,
I guess she didn't die the second time.
No, she didn't. But I was really upset when she died. I was like, wow, I feel like that was too soon, and I wanted to see more of her interacting with the rest of the crew because I thought their reactions stemming off of hers was so freaking funny. It was just.
What was like the percentage of the humor that worked for you? Like 90%?
I'd say like 95.
Vast majority, yeah.
95.
Yeah, 95. Okay. Like I loved it when like Emma Stone's trying to reload her gun and she jumps in and like maces the zombie.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? How does she survive this long? And then
in that scene, it's kind of like, okay, she's got some chops, I guess.
Yeah, I totally thought like I didn't understand how she was turning to a zombie at the time because I thought like she didn't get bit. She was wearing thick shoes.
I thought she got bit in the foot. I thought it went through that.
You did? Looking at it, I'm like, okay, well, she's not bleeding, and there's no way those shoes are a thick fabric. You can't get through them. They are. And I just thought,
what if they're a cheap knockoff brand? You don't know.
She's not the girl who's wearing cheap knockoff.
You only
brand.
have so many options in Zombieland.
But she's always got.
V bag.
Think so?
She what?
She had the Louis V bag, so she must have the high designer.
She did, yeah. Highlight on did.
But no, I thought her character was great. I loved when they were driving, and I love that joke was brought back for fuck. Why am I forgetting his name?
Columbus.
The clowns. Yeah, Columbus.
Tallahassee.
Thank you. I love that the clown thing was back with Columbus, and when they were driving, and he's just like, "What the fuck?" Like he's freaking out because the clown car's driving. And I was thinking, what the heck? Who's driving this? I hope it's a clown zombie, but then it was her. And I thought that maybe she was a zombie, and that she was a new kind of zombie hybrid or something like that. But you're not gonna get rid of me that easy. Like it's just so good, and I was so happy to see her back. And yeah, her character is just really, really funny.
Like, how did she even start to eat that trail mix? Because Emma Stone makes a joke like along the lines of, I thought everyone knew that there's nuts in trail mix or something. Like, did she not look? I guess she didn't look at it.
No.
It doesn't really make sense. It's very strange.
She's not too brave.
No, not too brave.
No, I think it's kind of it's. I don't know. I don't want to say there's people. There's definitely not people like her out there, but who I don't know everyone on the planet.
Yeah, she's an exaggerated version of people that exist.
There's one or two of them out there.
I just
the world's a big
the
place.
Kardashian type.
The Kardashian type. When Columbus was like, "Oh, Madison, what did you do when we first met? Did you try to point a gun at me and take my car?" She's like, "No, you were really smart, so I slept with you." Like it's
like, yeah, that's what happened.
This is a very, very bold stereotype they're tackling here. And even like when they're in the White House and she's like, "Oh, are you a religious church type? Because I know ways around that." And she winks. It's like, oh my God, Jesus Christ! And then even then it goes down and you see Tallahassee, and then it's like cardio swings down. You can hear the noises.
See, that was good humor.
And I think all the humor that has to do with her character, like bounced off her character, was great. Like when Tallahassee just leaves her bags, and then you see the travel light. And just anytime Emma Stone is interacting with her, Wichita, just giving her attitude behind her back or sassing her or something sarcastic, I thought that was hilarious. And then as we mentioned with Tallahassee, just like the way he wouldn't like touch her at the end is godlike. So yeah, she's in the movie a lot, and I think at least for two of us a little too much, but she's fine. I think much worse than her character is Berkeley. I did not. There's nothing to really grab onto with the character to like. No. Is the problem. Like, at least with her, she has, like, there's enough comedy that some of it will land, and you can look back and see some moments where Berkeley, there's nothing to grab onto.
Yeah, there was one or two, like, kind of jokes that he had that kind of, like I kind of laughed at, but for the most part, I was just annoyed with the character, and, like,
I like the Tallahassee referencing him jokes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like the overbearing father thing.
It's same thing with me, probably you too, for like the Madison stuff. Like I feel like majority of the stuff that I loved was Tallahassee, like
his reaction,
reacting to it. But sure. Berkeley, like the one joke that I really loved, he was just like, Little Rock asked him if he has any like marijuana, and he's like, it's like, do you, just by the way I look, you think I would have marijuana? He's like, of course I do. Look at me. Look at the way I look. And I just totally just laughed. I thought it was funny. And then the other thing, I guess it wasn't even really a joke, but he just started playing that song. He's like, I wrote this, and it's
he played a Bob Dylan song.
Bob Dylan song.
Yeah, so, like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
the other song. Yeah.
So yeah, those are like the two like humor things that he did. Like,
he's not. I mean, he's not in it a whole lot.
No, and I think that helped. So
yeah, and like he is technically necessary for the plot. Like with the current plot, I think he could have easily been written out and changed. Mm-hmm. Like that could have been any number of reasons that she wanted to go there, or other characters or something. So I don't know. Where do you stand on that one, Taylor?
I didn't like him.
Yeah, he doesn't have any big ha-ha moments.
No, honestly, he just bothered me, especially because the whole pacifist kind of thing in the zombie apocalypse just really bothers me. Mm-hmm. The melting the guns down and everything. I was just what the fuck?
That melding scene was hilarious to me because it felt very Lord of the Rings. Like they zoomed in on it so much. They had like these heavy-duty gloves. Yeah, they're making like this jewelry out of it. I thought that was hilarious. Just it was so out of place.
Oh yeah,
literally just have a vat of lava there. Like, how did
right
they
by
do
the door.
that?
Well, it was funny. I liked it when, again, Tallahassee was complaining about it when they're walking, like, you guys melted on fucking guns or whatever, like, just venting. But the character Berkeley, I didn't like him that much. It bothered me. They ditched their ride that was like the beast, you know. He really, really bothered me, and they're just driving down the road and there's a horde
So
of
for you it's more like a realism thing as well, where it's like this character just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like how would this guy survive?
Thing. Yeah, how would he survive? And I love that they kept making jokes like, you know, all they got is they're just driving out there alone together, no weapons and a fucking guitar, you know. Yeah.
And I think that's unfortunate because the implications of him not being a good character, an interesting character, is that Little Rock doesn't really have much to do with this movie. She has, like we said, she has less to do than Madison does, and hers, like, she doesn't really have any moments. I think I can't even think of any like shine out moments.
Right at the end when she pulls out the Lincoln gun.
Yeah,
that's like the one moment.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Yeah. And I mean, I like the idea of like the kind of fatherly figure Tallahassee that he has with her, but that's like less than 3 minutes of this movie. Like it's very just quickly kind of ham-fisted in there.
Just I guess we can transition into Little Rock then, but just before that, one last thing on the Berkeley character. I feel like the reason why it didn't bother me too much was because along with Madison, I didn't see them as characters, I saw them as caricatures. And like he was just the embodiment of like the snowflake millennial
like it's an effective
generation, right? So for me, I didn't even see him as like a human. He was just like this is the stereotype, and then we have the Madison. This is the stereotype.
Like it's definitely what they were going for, so it was effective in that sense. But I think that's something that I liked about the first movie's kind of endearing humor and characters is that they are still realistic, even though there is over the top moments and there's zombie kills of the week, and it's like those things aren't. They kind of take you out of it a bit, but the characters were always like consistent and realistic enough. So
yeah, no, for sure. So that's all I had to say on Berkeley. So I guess we can transition to Little Rock.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything to say on her, honestly.
Yeah.
Other than what you just mentioned before.
I was I don't know. I don't know like what that actress has been doing lately, but I feel like I was just really unimpressed with her performance. Like just like in the beginning of the film, like we just mentioned, she wasn't in it much, and then so from the beginning, I wasn't like jiving with it too much. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just not a big fan of that actress, but
I feel like she just wasn't given anything to do.
Yeah, and then but like she kind of left, and then I was okay with it because I felt like if I had seen more of her on screen, I would have liked it less. That sounds very harsh, but like for me, like just from her, like the lines that they had at the White House, just kind of being like the little family moments, I just really wasn't like jiving. Even it's weird because even in the early section of the film when they're all in the White House, like the only characters I really liked were Tallahassee and Columbus because they just felt identical.
Wichita I was concerned actually
I know
that they were really going to underuse Emma Stone, or maybe she was like only on set for a few days or something. So I was definitely in that same boat.
Like the whole White House. I don't know if you want to call it a little chapter, like when they're at the White House. I was really concerned actually. I was like, if this is what the movie is, like it just seemed like a rehash of the first one where it was like, okay, they said it's been several years. The viewers, it's been 10 years for us. So hopefully they've kind of grown as characters where it's like, nope, they've been like, Columbus is basically proposing to Wichita, but yet she's the exact same person she was in the first film, and she's just writing a note and walking away. And I was like, oh god, this is going to be like the exact same thing. But then obviously it kind of changed.
We should probably talk about that now. What is the time jump? I listened back to our cast because I wanted to hear, I listened to our prediction section at the end of our cast. I wanted to know what we got right, what we didn't. For time jump, Taylor, you predicted 2 years. Kirkland, you predicted at least 5.
Yeah.
And then I think I predicted 3, so just right above Taylor. I like any of those could be correct. It's not really.
They said several, so it'd be more than 2, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, like somewhere between
such a gray
like
area, though.
3 and 5 to 6 or something.
Yeah.
Like that's. Yeah, it's not explicitly stated anywhere, which I think is fine. But I don't know what do you think it is now based on seeing the movie? I would say, yeah, it's just weird because like Wichita and Columbus, that's so long to be a couple and be together to have this like spat that feels like so, and she would just leave in a whim on a whim like that for like 4 or 5 years in Zombieland. That feels like really strange character wise.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would say like 4 years, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, like. Just quickly going back to me having to separate it from like the realism to like the comedic side of it. I was also just thinking like, okay, it's been years. How has no one just told the person what their name is? Like
they still go by their names.
They still go by like where they're from. But then obviously I was like, okay, this is like comedy film. Like they're trying to stick to what it was. So that is what it is.
Well, I'm sure like even in the first movie, she tells him her name.
Oh, does she?
Yeah,
I forgot.
I forget what her name is, but she does tell him like in the moment where they have together, special moment at the end. She does tell him her name, but they still go by. In this movie, they still go by their nicknames. So I guess it's just kind of the thing to do across Zealand. It seems like even other people going by their like, locations and
stuff. It was a theme that they're sticking to like with the whole like film. So I'm okay with it now. But like in the moment, I was just like, okay, they've been together for years. How has they not just been like, my name's Mike? It's like, well, that's not a good name. Let's go with
I feel like that'd be weird to me. Like I'm glad that they stuck with the names.
Like, hey, Kelowna.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean like it would feel weird to me if in this movie like Tallahassee's name was David.
Mike. Okay,
right? Like, hey, what's up, Dave?
I agree with you. It was just in that moment when I was kind of stuck in like, okay, I'm seeing a realistic movie, but I'm not. So I had to separate the two.
How long do you think it's been, Taylor?
It looks like the going assumption is around 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
Ooh. So Kirkland was the most correct.
The most.
You just said it. You said at least 5 years. That's,
at least 5.
That's like Price is Right. Like you picked the right answer.
You have to think of it too. Like the White House and stuff. There was clearly like growth and like shrubbery like
there was a lot
on it. So that definitely happens over like a few years at least. Yeah, shrubbery.
Shrubbery underrated for sure. Word of the week here at the Geekverse. We've been using it all week. What was I going to say? That opening sequence from the trailer, I was like, this seems weird. Like, I remember talking about this on the last cast. I was like, this seems weird. The first movie, like, it didn't really have action unless the story called for action. It didn't really just have just action scenes for the sake of action scenes, and that looked like it was kind of going to be that. And it kind of is somewhat, but I actually really like that opening, just the cinematography of it. Some of the CGI on the blood was a little off, but for the most part, I thought it was really good. Master of Puppets, I think, was a great song choice there. That was fun. And yeah, just the slow-mo aspect of it and seeing, like, the teamwork as well. Even later in the movie, the RV, when they're going for the RV and Clumps is up, like, calling things out. I really like that, to see, like, how their teamwork has evolved over the years. I think that was something that they're like, as we're talking other little realistic things that they just don't talk about, that very well could have been the thing too, where they just never mention it. But to see that they have developed as a team and they know strategies to work together, I thought that was really cool to see. And you kind of get a glimpse of that in the opening scene a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Just quickly going to the opening scene, I felt like I actually wasn't the biggest fan of the Metallica song choice, just because I felt like it was, let's just do exactly what we did in the first film, because
it does feel like the
right?
finale of the first movie, I would say.
Well, even like in the intro of the first film, they had a Metallica song, and it was like slow-mo, people killing zombies, right?
Oh yeah, what was the song in the first movie?
Oh gosh,
it was like
Enter Sandman.
It might have been Enter Sandman.
What was it? It was like
I loved your singing of it.
Yeah, you're gonna get us copyrighted. That's how good you are. YouTube's gonna ban this video.
It's a quick Google away, I'm sure, but yeah, for me, I thought it was a little just corny for them to just bring, like, obviously it worked for you, so I might be the minority in that, but
I like that song.
But
that definitely is part of it.
It's a good song. I felt like it was, let's just do what we did for the same intro, because it was slow-mo, right? They're killing zombies.
It is a Metallica song.
Is it?
The name has 5 words in it.
5 words or 5 letters?
5 words.
I'm gonna be mad when you say it, because I don't know.
Like, I'm not a massive Metallica fan, so I don't know.
Me neither, but it's just one of those.
I know
songs,
the song.
So, yeah.
It's like for whom the bell tolls. Something like that.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't have predicted that.
Is it for whom the bell tolls?
I'm more about 1. The Guitar Hero 3 the song was in there.
That way you have like
and
a
it's
10
an intense
minute
song. Yeah, because like the first like 2 minutes are very simple. It's like when you play it on expert, it might as well be easy. But then it just like goes super ham for like 2 minutes straight. So you gotta it eases you into it.
I love that song for on Guitar Hero, because normally I'm playing with like my sister or my friends, so I have to like you play one song and then pass it over, do like a 10-minute song. It's like my turn's 10 minutes.
That's pretty rude.
So
bust out through the fire and flames. But
like, we were on the intro. I definitely sidetracked because we were talking about Little Rock there, and then I kind of got excited and talked about the intro. So,
but yeah, I don't know, the opening scene, I liked it. Taylor, you were a fan, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'll quickly talk about Little Rock and then go back to the intro. Little Rock, she definitely had the back seat in this movie a lot, and the last thing I saw her in would have been like Scream Queens or whatever. I haven't seen her in anything since.
Is she in that? Wow.
She is, yeah.
In like season 2 or something?
Yep, she's in season 2. Yeah.
I think I maybe only watched season 1. I don't remember her from that show, but it's been a while anyway.
But yeah, no, I'm okay with her not being in it like an insane amount. I was kind of more or less happy to see like the OG3 kind of popping off together. I like their chemistry and everything. And then it adds to the story, of course, for them to go and get her. But I'm glad that
she's more of like a plot device in that sense.
Yeah, and that's okay. I'm fine with that. But yeah, you gonna say something?
I just quickly wanted to mention, like, for Little Rock, I felt like the way that they used her as a plot point, as like someone to go get, I was totally okay with, because like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of her. Whereas they had like Woody Harrelson's character, like, oh, you guys have to come get me. I would have been just so torn, because I just fucking love that character, and I just want to see him as the head honcho, like leading the charge. But for Little Rock, just from like that opening like White House scene, because in the first movie, she definitely wasn't my favorite character, but I still liked her. Like, I felt like I liked all of them kind of relatively the same. Whereas this one, it was just such a significant, like, Woody Harrelson, Columbus, Emma Stone's like kind of down a bit, and then just Little Rock was like right at the bottom for me. So, I don't know why. It was just,
it's. I don't know. They chose to focus on other characters, I guess.
Yeah.
As for the story, what do you guys think of like the story beat of them, the 2 girls leaving again, and then, like, I think comedically it's kind of funny that like Little Rock left her. Once again, story wise, doesn't really make any sense at all. But whatever, it's fine. But what do you think of that? Because that's kind of just reusing once again the same idea from the first movie. It's like a slightly different structure than because they like took their stuff after meeting them for the first time, whereas this is like years worth of relationships like developing that just leave on a whim.
Like,
but it still is structurally a little bit the same.
That was
there.
like the end of chapter 1, like I said, the White House chapter. Whereas that, like, I was really out of the movie at that point. Like, and like, maybe I'm being a little extreme there, but like, I really was getting bad vibes where it's like, this is just a rehash of the first film, and if this whole thing's gonna be like this is gonna be rough. And like, it was just. Yeah, there's some new zombies that they talk about and some like new kind of like Zombieland stuff going on. But like overall, it's just, okay, they're leaving a note, they're leaving, even though they're supposedly been hanging out. Like they're a family for years, and it just, all that chemistry didn't matter. It's like, yeah, you proposed, so I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
Even though I stuck around for like, let's say 5 years or however long it has been. So that's why I was just really worried at that point.
You definitely get stir crazy, and I get it if that like freaked her out or something, but it's just like when you're dealing with a post-apocalyptic sort of world where death is around like any corner. It just is crazy, especially when Little Rock leaves Wichita like that. That's because that's like her sister.
Yeah,
right?
and like in the spoiler-free section, I mentioned there was moments where I was just like, man, this movie like should have came out sooner, and like it was definitely in that chapter, that White House chapter like section where it's just like, okay, they just leave a note and leave, which is what happened in the first film. So if this had happened like a year after, I would have totally bought it, because it's not like they've, I don't know, been in a relationship for several years, which is what it has been. So then I'm supposed to buy that they're in the strong relationship, they're a family. Yeah, like all this time has passed, but then that doesn't matter. We're still the exact same people, and like, I don't know, it just seemed very two-dimensional character.
It's even kind of predictable when she gets back, and then Columbus was hooking up with Madison, and that's kind of like a reason why they stay split up. Like that's we predicted that on the retro as well. It's like pretty. The story there is a little bit more complex than the first one, but not really by much.
No, yeah, for sure.
And then after that, it kind of just enters like the travel sequence, and then you kind of get that hang up at Elvis Presley's place, and then you kind of get a full scene there, and then more travel sequence to the kind of the finale that kind of is very much the same, like similar to Pacific Playland, right?
No, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like once they left the White House and then they started doing the travel stuff, got to the Elvis play. I don't even know what the hotel. It's like Hotel. I almost said
the Hound Dog.
The Hound Dog. Yeah.
Dog.
Thank you. And so like once it was going from there, I'm like, okay, this is like I'm not as worried as I was in that first little section. So it definitely got better.
Yeah. Let's talk about that sequence next, because that's kind of a major.
Did Taylor go? I feel like
on what?
I didn't even talk about the intro yet. Like, fall behind.
You gotta jump in, Taylor.
Well, Kurt's on a roll.
Moves fast and
Zombieland. I'm sorry. Yeah, you were about to say something. I'm like going back to Little Rock.
Intro good. Hound Dog. Or no. What was the thing before that? The story. Yeah. I really like the story. I think it was, I wasn't concerned if it was going to repeat a rehash of the first one, because when obviously the two were leaving, I felt like, okay, well, they're going to come back in the story at some point here, because in the previews we see
we just never see them again.
Wichita.
That would just be very jarring.
But I'm happy that I could overlook all those things of like Little Rock leaving Wichita, and then Wichita getting like the heebie-jeebies for the Hope Diamond and just popping away, But I like that she came back. I like that it was a month, because for some reason I was telling myself it was only like a day, and he cheated or slept with Madison.
I thought it was like a day.
Yeah, I was like, holy fuck! And then the whole time I was waiting for Madison to like come down the stairs or just pop around the corner.
Yeah, they kind of move the camera.
Oh yeah,
like the camera starts with the stairs, and then it moves out of the way, and then it comes back, and then she pops in.
It was hilarious.
They did a good job.
Yeah, I really like that reveal, and I kind of prematurely started laughing, because as soon as it started moving and it kind of showed the stairs, I'm like, oh, okay, I know who's going to walk down. This is going to be hilarious. And I started kind of chuckling, but then it goes to Columbus, and then it goes back to the stairs.
Good
so
framing,
I prematurely laughed. Sorry, everyone in my
Shouts to Ruban. Fleischer?
Yeah.
Ruban.
Shouts out to Ruban.
Yeah, the Hound Dog, though. I'll transition over there now.
A lot happens at the Hound Dog.
A lot happens at the Hound Dog. And I love what Tallahassee, when they're like, oh, we're at Graceland, and they wake him up and he's all excited, and then he's like, just gets so upset. And he's like, just drive.
I love the way that they woke him up too, because like my parents have definitely done that. It's just like, don't be cranky for us waking you up, but we made it here. It's like basically show up to Disney World. And like the way that he woke, it just totally reminded me of like a little kid waking up. It was hilarious.
And I think that was a good callback to the first movie, where you get that scene when he discovers like the Twinkie truck or the Twinkie shack, whatever it is, and it's not what he was expecting. He's just has that moment where he breaks down a bit. So I think that was a good callback where you have another thing that he loved distantly from back before Zealand, and then he just kind of breaks down. So I think that was a fun way to introduce that.
I loved when he was inside the Hound Dog and he was trying to put on the Elvis's shoes, and Columbus is like, "Oh, it's like perfect fit. Are you jealous that I have the same size foot as Elvis?"
He's like, "I feel like Cinderella right now."
Just totally rubbing it in. But I love that whole setup, just everything, all the nostalgic kind of like pieces there and everything. And he's playing the piano, and then Nevada just slams it down his fingers.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn! But I loved his chemistry with Nevada. And I loved it when he puts on that Elvis suit or whatever, and he's talking, and then obviously he goes outside and he's swearing because his car is being crushed.
Yeah, she's a great character. I mean, I'm a big fan of Rosario Dawson. She's she's amazing in the Netflix shows. She's fun in Death Proof, shout out to Tarantino's movie, and she's even a voice actor in Dishonored 2. And I'm just a big fan of that actress, so I was glad that she was in there. And she has a very like simple character, but it works perfectly, and it's kind of a fun love interest for Tallahassee, and she's just such a badass person.
Oh yeah,
so
it's definitely a good like counter to Tallahassee, right? She's like a female badass, like
exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that actress too. So seeing her in there is just great, and like the role that she had played in the film, I thought it was great. I really liked basically all the screen time that she had. It was funny when those two other characters that we haven't talked about yet, when they show up and then they're like just talking about like the driveway. I just thought that was hilarious.
That was a fun euphemism.
And then you quickly mentioned like when he dresses up as like Elvis and everything. Even before that, I think it was before it. Yeah, it must have been before, when he's talking about like why he fell in love with Elvis, and he's talking about like the recount of when he's in school, and then like someone starts. I don't know. I don't even remember how it plays out, but long story short, he starts singing like Elvis is, and I'm like, man, Woody Harrelson is just such a fucking good actor. Like I love him so much, and
it's a good scene. It's a very personal moment.
Oh yeah, and I'm just gonna keep riding Woody Harrelson's dick here. Just like there's so many scenes where like, especially when he's just getting so mad, whether it's at Madison or like that minivan that he has to keep riding, he's like spitting, like he is just looking so furious. And I'm like this guy is just bringing it his all, and like he is Tallahassee, and I love the way
this is very easily, I feel like, the kind of movie where after a decade these actors have gone do bigger and better things. I mean, he was already a big actor beforehand, but they could have easily came and just kind of phoned it in, and they definitely didn't.
No, absolutely. And like
his rage is great. Every time he slaps that fucking rear view mirror. And like even those stories of talking about the past, like that doesn't, most of the characters don't really talk about life before Zealand. So it's kind of, I guess, a humanizing aspect of the world, because he's really the only looking glass that we have to previous things through his little anecdotes.
I didn't think about it till now, actually, but are you guys surprised that he didn't talk about like his son in this one?
No, because he barely talked about it in the first one, and it's been years since then. So I get once again, I didn't think about it as well, and I don't think that's really a problem.
Yeah. I wasn't surprised because I forgot about it till now, but I was curious if you guys were thinking about that, just because it was. I mean, if it's
he just
your
had
son,
so much else to do, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like he had emotional moments without needing that. I think that's great. It's kind of like an evolution for him.
Were you surprised? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, that's okay. No, I wasn't really, because
were you thinking about it, or like you kind of forgot about it? Yeah.
No, I think they introduced it and they wrapped it up in the first one, and you don't need that to kind of understand or increase like your connection to the character in this one, I'd say, because like they barely talked about it in the first one. It was from Columbus's point of view, him kind of narrating it, like, oh my god, I realized it's a kid, you know.
Yeah.
But no, it didn't bother me.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense too if they replace like his child as like Little Rock, like in this film, he kind of has someone else to be a father for. So I don't know. I don't know if they did that intentionally, but it kind of makes sense. Just quickly talking about Woody Harrelson. I think I said it in like the spoiler-free section of. Like my S tiers were definitely just Woody Harrelson and Columbus, because I just felt like I was watching Zombieland 1. Like they're so
fun together. Yeah, like when they're riding around those whatever those things are called. Yeah, whatever those things are called.
Yeah.
What are they called? Taylor, you know.
I do know, but I have to Google it. I can't remember.
But I don't know. Like,
I just pictured Job from Arrested Development just cruising around on his
Segway.
There you go.
Yeah, like you mentioned it though. Like for a sequel that came out 10 years later, like it would be very easy to just write it off and like not give it your all, and it would be I don't know, you'd think it'd be noticeable that it's like, okay, yeah, they're trying to play that same character. It's not they are the same character, but those two, they were the exact same characters, and I absolutely loved it. At the beginning, I wasn't too sure on Emma Stone. Like she's a phenomenal actress and everything, but I'm like, I'm not buying it that she's like kind of Wichita. I don't know, but as the movie progressed, I definitely like, and I feel like the comedy that she had with Madison very much helped.
Yeah.
So
it's true, and I think that just comes down to like what her character's supposed to be. Like she is kind of a hardened, she's very reserved character, right? Like she doesn't reveal her emotions
for sure
very often, but
sure.
you would expect that she could do that more with Columbus. Even her sister, like I think they could have had another scene of her and her sister after they had left. Maybe that could have been a good thing to bolster up both those characters a bit, like, or her character early on, and just something more for Little Rock to do. Like they had just one scene of them on the road where they talk about it, and that's it.
Yeah, and then like when they meet up again in Babylon, it's mostly just like, you're alive, give him a hug, and like that was it. It's
like she has the same reaction that Columbus does.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
exactly.
Tallahassee. So
it's probably a writing thing because I know Emma Stone is just a phenomenal actress. So,
well, like I said, like the stuff with opposed Madison, like that's hilarious.
She was so good.
I love those two together. That ended up being a fun little duo there.
No, for sure. Again, I was jumping all over the place. I'm pretty renowned for just
I think
getting
this
off
is
the beaten
it's kind
path
of a good thing.
On these
Like
reviews.
the first, on the retro, it was such a simple movie that I feel like we weren't really getting lost on our train of thought, whereas we kind of are this time because there is a lot more characters to play with, and there is a little bit more to the plot. Not too much, but there's a little bit at least.
So I guess we were talking about Nevada and the hotel.
That whole sequence, like one as a set piece, amazing.
Oh, for
like
sure.
all the big guitars out front, I think was kind of some fun physical comedy as he's knocking them over. Even just inside, very beautiful place, and like I kind of want to go there. I mean, that's not on my priority of like places to visit in my life, but if I'm ever in the area, I definitely would go to that hotel, assuming it's a real place.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Just check it out because it seems like a really happening cool spot.
Definitely a happening spot. So yeah, we talked about Nevada. I guess we can introduce the other two characters.
Yeah, these are interesting characters, Albuquerque and Flagstaff.
Yeah, Flagstaff. That's
so that's one thing right off the bat that I loved. If you listen to our retro, we were talking when I was giving some fun facts. We talked about what were some other possible character names for Columbus and Tallahassee, and Albuquerque and Flagstaff were some of the like. Not front runners. Like those are some other possible names. So I love that as an Easter egg to give those characters those names. I thought was perfect, and I don't know, it was just very satisfying after because that wasn't in the trailers or anything. They don't say their name. I didn't look on IMDb or anything, so that was just a nice, pleasant surprise, and I thought that was a beautiful little detail.
I 100% agree. It was so funny too because when they first pull up and Albuquerque gets out of the monster truck and like he was dressed up like a cowboy, and I was just thinking to myself like, man, isn't that kind of like what Tallahassee was wearing at the beginning of the film? Like that's kind of funny. And then he comes out and then they're kind of saying that they are similar, and then you see the Jesse Eisenberg looking guy, and I was like howling. I thought it was so funny. Just and like
the look was perfect.
The acting wise, like when they go and shake each other's hands and they do the exact same thing where they kind of grasp the art, like it was just so good. And yeah, that whole like them just being twins just worked for me. I loved it.
I love that sequence as well. Like it's very short, but I mean, just the names and then the looks. I love the fucking rules versus commandments thing.
Oh, so
that
good.
was like probably my favorite comedic like shtick of the movie because you just have, as we talked about, like they're so subtle with them sometimes, but that scene was purposely very over the top with the names falling over each other. Even talks about like anywhere is your bathroom, and there's kind of like some dribbles falling off of the letters. Like that was, and even just like the majestic nature of the commandments and like the text difference. That was so good.
No, I 100% agree. Especially like they're coming off so friendly, and then I believe it's Albuquerque. He like comments on like he's like, well, Flagstaff here has cardio at I forget the specific number, so it's a set number before or he has this amount more important than that one, and then it started getting a kind of competition wise, and I just thought that was hilarious.
It's like a friendly competition because they were still
very friendly.
Yeah, even like when they have a drink together, they both throw it over their shoulder. That was great.
Yeah.
What did Flagstaff call the T-800s for him?
Oh God, Usain, the bolts.
Oh yeah, the bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I totally agree with you. I think that, little face-off was absolutely hilarious, and I love the two characters. I think it totally fits with their names, having to these, like... It gives them much more of a appreciation than being clones of the main cast, and I think, I love that they were calling them the T-800s. Every mention at that, I thought it was great. And like T2.
It was hilarious because I swear, I think it was you, me, and Travis on a recent cast. We were just talking about T2.
A lot of T2.
It was hilarious.
That's my favorite.
Yeah,
so good. I definitely got a kick out of when they turned, and I thought, okay, like something doesn't feel right. Like they were fighting those zombies, and I'm like, they look like they're just getting fucking annihilated out there. And when they came back in, like, oh, you got a tattoo of a zombie bite, and
shortly after that too, he like gives a weird cough. He's like, that was kind of weird, eh? Man, I laughed so hard when he said that. Yeah,
I love when they were just. That's again, this whole sequence felt very real. Like, okay, I feel like they're, Tallahassee and Columbus are vulnerable in this situation because they could get like bit or something here. And I loved it when I think it was in the first movie when was it in the first movie? The sequence reminds me of something very similar when like Columbus was sliding and he's like swing and he ducked down, but then
that was the first film.
That was the first one,
and then it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. He just fucking and he hit him twice
right
when
in the
Columbus
face.
was down on his back.
You made an audible gasp in the theater when that happened.
Oh yeah,
a lot of people did in my theater. Yeah.
Because that guitar, that didn't break. That was a solid.
That looked solid too.
Yeah.
That was no ukulele.
That was no uke for sure.
Yeah,
it didn't just snap.
You already you already mentioned about the characters. I was gonna say
I was gonna add Luke Wilson as like the opposite Tallahassee. It was really funny. It actually reminded me of his character in Anchorman, where he's like the other anchor who always gets his arms chopped off. I don't know why. I mean, it's a similar, just very goofy, over the top character, but I thought he was like. I like if you were to ask me to fan cast, like who would be the perfect one to play the opposite version of him?
I could not have guessed
the same.
that.
Like I would never have picked that, but it ended up working well. And then the other guy, I don't know his name, but he was just the perfect. He had like the Jufro kind of thing going on, the same like even tone
speech
of skin,
patterns,
like all of it was there.
Totally. I wanted to say though, like. For the amount that they were like actually there, I was 100% satisfied with it. Like I was kind of
quality.
Yeah, like I was thinking to myself when they were kind of having the back and forth, and I was loving the comedy, but I'm like, if this just goes on for the whole film, I might think it's a little annoying. But like they totally kill them off like pretty soon, right? Like, or at least like get bitten. So I was 100% satisfied with.
I was surprised by that.
The length.
They made it really seem like they were experts of Zombieland, right?
Especially like, no, we got this.
Like that, their first encounter. They just like got destroyed in like a really silly way.
It kind of goes with like Columbus's rules, right? Where it's like
team up.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
even though they had teamwork on their list, didn't they?
Yeah, it was like number one. He's like, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, but not help.
Yeah,
just their teamwork.
Don't ask for help.
Yeah, weird. Commandments. Those things are weird.
Yeah.
Taylor? What was the question again?
Like just the length that they're in. Like, did you want them to live longer, or were you happy?
No. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen them teamed up. I think it would have been fun, but
not reaction. Fuck no.
I think it was just perfect how long they were in there for, and I'm much happier with the fact that we got to see them get bit and turn into zombies, and we got to see that kind of like transition.
I just that one line. He's like, oh, that was kind of weird. Oh no, those two are great. Yeah, where do we want to go from here?
Well, we've kind of talked about every character except for Columbus. I mean, we've mentioned him a lot because, once again, he is... You would describe him as the protagonist. Like, he's still the one who narrates things like the zombie kill of the week. And,
right.
and even the rules are kind of like a fourth wall sort of breaking thing. But I think we've kind of mentioned, but he's great, once again, as kind of the leading man, even though it does feel like an ensemble rather than just like one leading guy. But he's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, I honestly feel like his character...
I feel like I haven't seen him in anything since he played Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
So...
I think the same.
Yeah. It's kind of a return to form, if you will.
Totally. I was going to say,
got the hair back.
I feel like out of every character, I feel like his would probably be like the hardest to act, because Woody Harrelson, I don't know, for some reason I just picture him like just seeing that role and being like, oh, this is easy for me. Or like...
That's like he's like out hunting with his friends.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just like, okay, I know where I want to go with this role. Whereas like the Columbus character, maybe it's just a Jesse Eisenberg thing, and he's just really good at doing like that sort of
that kind of awkward.
Because he kind of like obviously he's playing Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network, but it's a similar like mannerisms that he has to Columbus.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know, I was just impressed with the way that he was able to just completely encompass like that character again, like 10 years later. Like he was just to the T. Like I could have watched Zombieland and Zombieland 2 and thought that they came out like very close together. Like just the way he was talking and like his awkwardness. I
Yeah,
just thought it
the
was really
mannerisms
well
all
done,
there for
and
sure.
so definitely hats off to him. I thought he did a great role just redoing that character,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah, and I feel like he doesn't really have much of an evolution of any sort. I mean, none of them really do, I guess.
No.
Like Tallahassee, maybe the most, but not really.
yeah,
But
I think I would agree with that.
yeah, he's still just a fun character overall.
Yeah, because then if you think of like Wichita, she definitely didn't evolve clearly because she did the exact same thing that she did at the beginning of this film. So, but yeah, at the end, sorry, Taylor.
No, that's okay. At the end of what?
I was just gonna say at the end, she kind of like opens up saying that like
Yeah, and I mean, she did intend on coming back, whereas in the first movie, she didn't intend on coming back. They just got caught.
Yeah. So I did like that she mentioned that. I actually think that was like when Madison got back or shortly before. Is that when they're talking? Like they're kind of like making up and they'll be like, "Man, I think this is really good for our relationship or whatever." Or is that actually? I think that's at the White House when
that was
Madison.
At the White House
when Madison comes down the stairs,
right?
And she's wearing the
a turning point for a relationship.
Yeah,
huh?
and then it's kind of just like this slow build from there, I guess, where little scenes where they're kind of slowly getting back together.
Okay. Sorry, Taylor, I cut you off.
That's okay. I'm trying to remember what I was going to say.
We should do like a Taylor cut-off counter in the bottom corner for the amount of times I cut you off.
Yeah, Columbus. I think I like that he wasn't as afraid or as timid in this movie. He felt very much more comfortable, and especially like when he was on top of that RV, he was just shouting out and he was trying to say the numbers and like he was like, "Oh, 8:30, 8:35." Like, "Oh, fine, I'll get it," and he just shoots it. Like it was really cool, and I love that. Chemistry with all the characters, and it felt like that was a really, really cool sequence with him. And again, like I liked even at the intro when he's like talking about all the different zombie types and stuff. And I wish that we got to actually see the ninja in play in the movie.
I was expecting it to make an appearance like later on because
you only get it once, right?
Only at the beginning, yeah.
Sneaking under the bus, under the RV.
Under the RV.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a ninja under the RV?
Ninja. They had the text on screen.
Oh, they did? I didn't even catch that.
Or maybe actually it might have been Columbus said someone said the word ninja or it was written somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I didn't catch it. I know that they yelled Hawking and he ducked and the Hawking jumped over him.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that
that
was
was different than
there.
the one that went under.
Okay, well that's cool then. I'm glad because I thought that they just showed the ninja at the beginning and they didn't ever like come back to it.
Yeah, I guess that scene kind of shows all three of the new types then.
Yeah. And I again
they
like
should have had like a boomer or like a smoker or something.
They should have. I really enjoy them kind of with those opening sequences, especially like when in the first one when Columbus is talking about how the zombies are just kind of getting smarter and like attacking people in different ways, and in this case just the sequence just showing these different survivors and like the girl running from the Homer and its tongue gets stuck and like that gets dealt with.
I like that a lot too because it kind of takes you back to the first film when he's just explaining like the rules of like always wear seatbelts, and it goes to like that mom with like all the little girls that are zombies, and then it's just like taking, or I feel like it's kind of fleshing out the world,
setting up the world a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they did that again.
They did that again. It was great. I love the Hawking taking the fucking eye and like scanning the door and getting in, and then the ninja stalking that guy. So that guy was just not smart in that scenario or that house at all. He was a complete idiot.
Anyone here?
Like what an idiot.
Just a random house. Like, yeah, we're out here around the kitchen.
But Columbus's narrations are great. Like you have the ninja gets you, the first thing you'll hear is your own screams or something like that. So
it was good. It was a good start
to
the movie. Like I pretty much immediately dialed in, even though there were some concerns in the first like 15 minutes. It went away pretty quick, and then it was just a fun ride all out.
What was the Native American terms he was speaking of again at the beginning of the movie? The Blackfoot, because he was saying like, oh, there's all these like Eskimo words that they have or whatever. Like that came around full circle with like Tallahassee being Blackfoot, right?
Yeah, I thought that was gonna.
We don't know for sure.
Yeah, he's not maybe the most
he was saying
guy.
it in the car with Madison. He was naming off some of those terms.
He was just that was hilarious to me. He was just saying these words that made no sense. I thought that ending was gonna play out a lot differently. Like were you guys expecting it for him to run off?
I was expecting him to
follow?
die, honestly, for a little bit there. I'm like, is this where this is going? Especially when he's leading the buffalo to the
I feel like
end.
I didn't see the crane hanging.
Yeah.
But I thought what he was trying to say was that they would like surround them and then push them off. So I thought they were all going to use their like shield wall things, whatever, and like push them all off.
Yeah.
Like after they group them all up there. So that definitely played out differently than I was expecting.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna.
And it felt kind of weird, like for the like maybe I guess they're all homers or something that they would just run off the edge and not.
No, they said that they were T-800s. I'm pretty sure.
They couldn't all. They were way too stupid to be T-800s. I guess T-800s aren't necessarily that smart.
I don't know if they're smart, but I think it depends. Like, because remember, one of the T-800s like got hit by Tallahassee's truck, and it totally ignored Tallahassee because he was going for the fireworks. So I think like I don't know, because I'm pretty
That's
sure
true,
when
but
he got back,
I feel like if
Yeah, when he
there's
got
a
back, he said
human,
that.
I feel like if there's a human 1 foot from your face, they would go for that, right?
maybe, but
Especially if they're one in the back, they wouldn't even see Tallahassee.
Yeah. I feel like you're getting too much in the realism of the whole event.
Oh, definitely, but it was a fun set piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird. It
Yeah,
was weird.
I agree with you. It was definitely not.
Even like
the
when
way I
they're
thought it was
when they're
going.
kind of cooped up, like before they go up the tower, they were just kind of cooped up. Right before what's her name, Nevada shows up with the monster truck and scooped them up. Like I thought they were dead there.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe they should have. I feel like the zombies still would have gone for them, but I don't know. I guess the rules are that they get distracted by loud things. I guess so. Kind of makes sense.
they definitely do. They're very easily distracted. I personally would not be lighting fireworks in the zombie apocalypse. I think that's really stupid, especially.
There's a
with no
lot
weapons.
of, you could say, plot holes with Babylon. Like
Oh yeah.
the
How
fact
do they get food?
they have no defensive anything planned out in the worst case. Yeah, like where
How do they get
food?
resources? Like all these things.
Yeah, there's a lot
Hmm.
that doesn't make sense. There's just the one guy who's always trying to have group
No
sex.
group sex.
Yeah.
Okay, group sex.
You know, one point of realism that I found jarring because they actually did take the time to answer something was it's very early on in the movie. Madison's talking about how she's been in the freezer for 5 years, and then Columbus is like, "Yeah, it's crazy that the power's still working because the Hoover Dam
the dam
is still powering
Still
all this
rain,
stuff."
so dams get water. And
Yeah,
so,
it felt like a really strange line, right? Because the only purpose that didn't feel like a line he would normally say.
Yeah.
It felt like it was only in there to inform the viewers, like it was to answer that question for us of why is there still power on
Yeah.
in the White House. So it was interesting that they answered that, but it was weird because the rest of the movie doesn't use that standard. That was like the only one when I found where they took the time to answer something that specific about like the world and how it works.
That is a good note because I definitely was thinking something similar because I'm like, well, they answered that, but yet there's so many other questions that they just don't even talk about. So
I'm okay with them answering it. I remember like when Columbus and Wichita were getting into bed and the lights were on, I was thinking, okay, like how it was a brief thought. How is the electricity still working? And I'm glad that they kind of just snuck that in. Like, oh, that's kind of like an interesting, fun, unrealistic thing.
I'm glad they did too. It just it's definitely not a standard that they went for. So I just thought it was strange because it felt like out of place. And I feel like if that wasn't answered, I think we would like this review would be the exact same except for this last 2 minutes, right? Like there's so much that we are already just accepting because of the way this movie is and the way this movie presents itself. That if that detail wasn't in there, we would be fine. Like we questioned that in the first movie, I guess. So it answered that. We were curious last time, like why is there so many lights on in fucking Bill Murray's house? I guess the question there was why does he have so many lights on, not how are the lights on. But same route.
You just mentioned Bill Murray takes.
Yeah.
I just want to jump back to the hotel.
Right.
That
Yeah.
one like line. At first, first of all, I thought it was amazing the way that they did it. Like
when
just
you murdered someone.
yeah, like because at first I'm like,
No, someone definitely did it.
I'm like, she said murdered, and then obviously she's just like she doesn't know that he
I
did
didn't
it,
know
and
if it
then
was like a
and
southern
then
accent.
yeah, Wichita and Tallahassee are just like kind of looking at him, and I was laughing so hard at that. I think like the way that they did that was just it was so good, and I was so satisfied with it. So.
Yeah, we were definitely cracking up. That was so good. It didn't clue in at first, and then when
I almost murdered
they
you.
like, yeah, I almost murdered you. I was like, oh, that's such a good like callback to the with Bill Murray. That's so good.
Have you seen like How I Met Your Mother? Have any of you seen that? Okay,
Negative.
For anyone that has seen it, they have a term for like, oh, I almost Mosby'd, which is
Okay, so it's just like a character's name turned into a verb. To
Yeah,
describe
exactly.
it.
So
That makes sense.
for all you that have seen the show,
Well-
you know what I'm talking about.
Speaking of Marine, what'd you guys think of that kind of post credits or mid credits thing?
I thought it was hilarious.
It surprised me a bit.
Yeah,
I didn't.
definitely.
I wasn't thinking, man, I wish Bill Murray was in this movie.
No, yeah,
Like they kind
I-
of set it up. To
I
me.
had heard rumors that he was supposed to be in it, and I'm like, as a zombie, and then my counterpart that I was talking to was like, oh no, he looked like he was like a human, and I'm like, what the hell? How the hell are they gonna write that off? So
Mhm.
it's just, and then I feel
It's
like
kinda weird, right?
I kind of forgot about it until they mentioned the Murray thing, and I'm like, I wonder if he's gonna make an appearance, and then credits roll, and then I just loved how it was for the Garfield 3 because when he dies in the first one, I believe it's Emma Stone. She's like, "Do you have any regrets?" And he's like, "Maybe Garfield." And then obviously this is like as soon as the outbreak's kind of happening, and then he's like, just showing. He's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "You think of the great trilogies, you know, you got The Godfather," and he just Lethal Weapon. He just names all, and then it's like Garfield. It's just and Garfield 3 is just I guess apparently
Yeah.
renowned as like one of the worst films ever. So I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. It was kind of fun to watch him just mess up some zombies.
Yeah.
It kind of made me question how the zombie thing started because the way I always pictured it in my head, though I didn't put too much thought into it, I guess, was someone bit into the bad burger, that person turned into a zombie, and then that person bit someone, that person turned into a zombie, and it just kind of kept going from there. But that's not really the case anymore because he's in the room with Al Roker, and he just randomly starts.
Maybe he had the burger earlier. Maybe he was the first guy.
There was the food,
but then
that
there was people
were
outside
eating
the
there.
room already, right?
Right.
He couldn't have been the first because Bill Murray killed him, took him out.
So this is just a
So
hypothesis.
it would have just all kind of propped up at the same time.
What if it was just like?
It could have been a series of bad burgers.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
Like
A bad run.
they're catering the event.
Yeah.
It's all those burgers.
It all started there.
It's all from
Garfield
like.
Thrust event.
I love that whole interview sequence when he's like, "So why are you doing?" He's like, "Honestly, like drugs cost money." And he just, what was the other thing he said too? He's like, "So they were like, oh, so you got 9 lives," and he's like, "Well, I just did the Garfield, 3 or 1 and 2, so that's 6 lives there." It's just so good, so
Yeah.
subtle.
His
about
line
it.
delivery was just crisp.
Yeah.
I liked
Yeah.
it.
I don't think I needed that sequence, but I didn't feel like it was an unfair callback to the first movie.
No,
that was
yeah,
just there to
for sure.
sell some. Is fun. Is a mid credit scene, right? So
Yeah,
so,
I like the way you phrase that. I didn't need it, but I was happy with it.
mm-hmm. You had a point. Go for it.
I do have a point. Yeah, I love when they're in the mall and there's that chick, just zombie chick, banging on like the vending machine or whatever, and he like Tallahassee throws his whiskey bottle up and shoots it, then shoots the zombie, and he's like, "Oh, what do you think? Like, kill of the year?" And Columbus is like, "You threw your bottle in the air and shot your alcohol or whatever."
He's so
not
unimpressed.
impressed. But I love that they did 2 kill of the years in this movie.
And it was kind of interesting that one. Sorry to cut in.
no, go for it.
Because we talked about that, how Tallahassee made a big deal of a very nonchalant kill in the first movie, and we're like, come on, man, you got to know that's not kill of the week. But I guess that he does it again here, it's kind of like that. He just has that inflated sense of ego, kind of explains that one in the first movie. But yeah, they did a couple kill of the years.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about the first kill of the year with the tractor?
The tractor one?
That
It was very Saw-like.
Wasn't that kill of the week?
No, they're kill of the years now.
I thought that one was kill of the week, and then
Yeah.
the
Was it? I thought it was a kill of the
Italian.
year.
Yeah, no, that one was kill of the week for that week because Tallahassee, or sorry, did he claim that it was kill of the year, his bottle shot, or did he see a kill of the week?
I thought he said week, to be honest.
Yeah, so then I took it as he's like, nice try, but this guy actually won kill of the week, which is the
And then it's
tractor.
later
I
in the
thought
movie
that's
that
when
the kill of the year comes up.
I
right?
thought that's when he starts talking about kill of the year with the tractor.
He mentions it, but
Oh.
I thought it was after, and then they showed
thought
the
that was a
actual
bit
kill
later
of
in
the
the
year, and
movie,
it was the dude with the
Oh.
Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Which was absolutely fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't contain myself.
Definitely over the top.
Like I
and-
feel like it was it was in the Elvis section when he takes out I guess Albuquerque. I think is when he's like, is that kill of the year? I think that's when that's brought up, and then
you're right.
and then he says no, kill of the year goes to our Italian friend, which was easily the funniest part of the movie for me. That whole sequence was so fucking weird, so over the top, and just hilarious. I was dead.
It was very much over the top. Yeah, but when I saw him walk over, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna hit like dynamite or something, and then it's just a jack.
I thought Dynamite.
next to the lean tower. I'm like, okay,
And he's
this
just
is awesome.
yelling his obscenities in
Italian, yeah.
Italian.
Italian. Oh my God, Gorlami, so good. I love that.
Yeah,
so much. And
no,
that
it was
is definitely kill of the year. 'Cause that's kill of like a lifetime. Honestly, because that's you can only do that once. Like you're not going to rebuild a Leaning Tower of Pisa. Like even if you do, it wouldn't have the same effect.
Doesn't Columbus give Tallahassee like kill of the century, or like kill?
Yeah, when he does.
Yeah,
say
he's
kill
just
of
being a
the
good. He's
century.
just being a good friend. They're like,
Yeah.
is he really the one who can
Unofficial.
appoint that?
Yeah.
Like who's on the council anyway? That's what I want to know. That'd be an interesting movie. The Kill of the Week Council, Zombieland
Yeah.
3 follow up.
Yeah.
Right, just some sort of like observers. They're like in these airplanes, helicopters.
The Watchers.
They just kind of they just observe and film these events. That was interesting because that was the first time we've seen anything from like somewhere outside of the U.S. for
Yeah,
Zombieland
I
thing.
actually mentioned that when I was walking out because I saw it with my buddy,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, man, like they're kind of like because like I think in the first film when they show Zombieland or like the intro, and then he's talking about like United States of America, and then he kind of translates that into Zombieland, and then I'm like, okay, I feel like Zombieland's kind of just America or like North America or whatever. But then obviously they take us to a whole nother continent, so it's definitely worldwide.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's almost safe to assume based on like what Columbus does in the first movie, and then even like the movie cover, it's just like the entire planet is just covered in lava and like destruction. So I think I've kind of always assumed that the whole world is like this. Yeah.
Not Alaska or Greenland. I feel like those very northern people are just fine.
You think they're safe?
I feel like there's some dude living in a cabin that has no idea that the world's just gone to shit.
Yeah, I could see that.
There's uncontacted tribes out there, like to this
There
day.
is,
so I feel like they wouldn't. No.
They're not. They didn't get any of those bad burgers mailed to their local McDonald's. So
no.
You just reminded me of something I really liked when they're in bed and Columbus is reading the Walking Dead comic. He's like so unrealistic.
This is so scary.
Yeah.
It's so unrealistic.
I want to talk about a couple. We've talked about a lot of the callbacks already. One that I thought was well used was in the last sequence when Nevada's running them all down with the monster truck, which is, I mean, monster trucks are just a great piece of machinery. It was awesome to see that. But Tallahassee drops the "Thank God for Rednecks" line in there, which I thought was a fun callback to the first movie. And then even at some point, Columbus references 406. I think it's in relation to Madison early on in the movie.
Yeah,
so.
like you're like.
Do you think he would remember
406.
like his apartment number? Remember that? I think he'd remember that scenario because that's where it all started. Yeah, I think he would.
And like he didn't give her a name; it was just the 406, right?
Yeah.
So
he never met her, never knew her name. I guess
never knew her name.
Yeah.
406.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to ask, what do you think of the new slogan? Let's kick some dicks.
Kick some dicks.
Over
Just because it rhymes doesn't mean it's cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm in the Emma Stone camp and not the Columbus camp.
Yeah.
The Wichita camp, I should say.
Yeah, like I thought it was funny, but like I don't think it's the tier of replacing Nut Up or Shut Up.
No.
I mean, it's also hard because that's just like the Zombieland slogan. I feel like so to like reshape it, it's just like
Mm-hmm. It's equally as like unfair to women, I would say, because it's like Nut Up and Shut Up. Well, you know, he's kind of just he's propelling the male ego there, and then kick their dicks as well. Like that's only referencing the zombies that have dicks. So
I have to say when Columbus was with Madison and Tallahassee is talking to Columbus after, and he's like. Before he talks to Columbus, he says, "Well, he's nutting up, but he's not shutting up." and then afterwards, it's like, what did he say? Like, you gotta have like good cardio. And then Tallahassee says, she's gotta enjoy the little things. Or you gotta enjoy the little things.
And then like that's where they kind of had the play on like the font where like the world's your bathroom that shows like the little sprinkle where it's like enjoy the little things. And it's just like a little
the
thing.
eye like
yeah.
So good.
Just little details like that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I think the production value aspect of that stuff was well done. Like the way those words and whatnot were CGI'd in, and even like the final battle. I don't know. What do you guys think of the final battle? I kind of like. I think I like the Pacific Playland like set piece more. Though I think this one's probably a little bit more interesting.
When they're like doing like the initial like the fire gauntlet sort of like they're funneling them in and then like the big explosion. I know you've seen it. I don't know if you've seen it, but definitely reminded me of Battle of Winterfell.
Oh, yeah.
Like the White Walkers just funneling in. I'm like, this is just, I'm getting like throwbacks because they basically do a very similar thing, right? Where they kind of capture them with fire. And I thought it was kind of funny when they're like, all right, now we just deal with like the leftovers. They got their shovels and then you just see like 100 times more of them coming. And then it was interesting too because they kind of make it seem like our characters are in danger. Like the main characters are. I feel like it's
and do
probably
you feel like
the
it was a
first
bad plan
time
to go with one explosion? You think? I think it was kind of a bad plan. I think they should have gone for more fire.
Yeah,
just like a fire field instead of like
a little
outlines.
box.
Yeah,
because maybe he was trying to like remember the size of the group that he saw running there, so then he tried to just.
Fair.
Okay, it must be the same.
I
amount,
also did feel like that was a little bit strange. I mean, maybe that's a really big field, but the fact that he had time to turn around, drive there, and then go up like 50 floors to get to the top to warn them.
Number one rule.
And then they had time to go set everything up, which was like a pretty extensive plan.
Yeah.
The timing on that made no sense to me.
Did he go back up to the top?
He went to the top of Babylon because that's the only set they have there, really.
Well, they did have stuff down below.
Yeah.
I guess that's where he was.
He did go to the roof.
Oh, shit.
He did go to because that's where they are, right? That's where the characters are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
and
they
the
were
rest
down
of them just
below.
stay up there.
I thought they were down below.
I'm pretty sure they're at the top.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of time because they went back outside and everything. I don't think like the smart idea would have been to knock your walls down and let them come in and then
Yeah, that's a
that
good
was
point.
very risky. But obviously, it was their plan to like, okay, they're gonna blow up a bunch, and then they're gonna kill a bunch so that they can. Then they're gonna fall and retreat back up to the top, and then they're gonna let, they're gonna funnel all of them off, and kill them.
I'm no major strategist, but I feel like the idea of it was to just try and funnel them in through one area, as opposed to them just trying to break down all the walls and surround them. But like I said, I'm no zombie strategist.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, they survived, so who are we to trash talk
They
them?
were very
They
lucky.
did survive.
Well, yeah, they did survive, but it was very lucky with the help of Nevada and the monster truck. I personally would have kept the walls up. I think that's definitely your saving grace at this moment. And I think they had the one tank. I feel like with all of that fuel that they could have, weaponized, they could have probably made some like little Molotovs or grenades of some kind. And as they come and they're piling up the wall, you just throw them down, pour a bunch of that stuff down on them, and then light them on fire. Conserve what you got.
So you weren't impressed with their strategy plan?
I wasn't too impressed because I mean,
I like
they
the
got
creativity.
stuck.
I will be honest, but I just feel like they weren't considering the volume.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, even you're saying that Tallahassee was based off his memory, but really they could have seen them from up above. I mean, maybe not in advance, but I think that just goes to show, like, the sense of scale of that situation just was kind of weird to me. The fact that it took so long for the zombies to get there after Tallahassee saw them.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. But I guess it may, like, at the same time, Babylon didn't have any defenses. They didn't have any, like, lookouts. They were just fucking chilling.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I don't know what to say about that. I want to go into some of our predictions from last time.
Okay.
We didn't do a whole
This is
lot of these.
exciting.
We didn't do a whole lot of these, but we already talked about the years, so those are done. I guess you didn't answer this one, Kirkland, but Taylor, you thought this would be bigger than Zombieland 1. I thought it'd be smaller in terms of just sales, like ticket sales. That, I mean, we'll have to wait and see.
I didn't answer?
I didn't write it down, so I don't know.
Oh. Maybe I was right, and you're like, I'm not writing that down.
Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You'll have to go back and listen. The other one was, and this is what I wanted to transition into next, is who we thought would die. So you two thought that Woody Harrelson would die, or Tallahassee would die. Taylor, you predicted that Columbus and Wichita would start together and then break up because of Madison. So you were fucking all on point there.
Bam!
Shouts out to
Predictions on.
And then
fucking
I
point.
thought that Wichita would die and no one else. So no one dies of the main cast. Like, your two new characters, your Albuquerque and Flagstaff, they get killed off, but no one else. And that actually surprised me a lot.
Yeah.
I, like, whether or not I was right or wrong with Wichita, I thought someone of the main cast is definitely going to die because, like, one, that's just a classic zombie thing for stakes, right? You can add some emotional value to a scene. But also just, like, I don't know, even Madison or get rid of Nevada or something. I just thought someone of the main cast was going to die. Yeah, Berkeley, get rid of him.
Characters.
That wouldn't have had much emotional value, but it was still would have been nice, I guess. But I'm actually just floored that none of the main cast died. Honestly,
I wasn't really thinking about it like while I was watching the film, but like looking back on it, that is kind of surprising, and it also, I don't know, just brings me back to that moment when like they're kind of just shit out of luck, and like the only thing that saves them is Nevada coming, and but like they're like, I think this is the end of the road, guys, and I was just like, holy shit, like who are all of them gonna die? They can't do that. And then so it that one moment, I was like, there's actually stakes on the line here. Like this is kind of interesting, but
I was genuinely curious. Are they going to kill all four of them here?
Yeah,
that'd be fucking bold.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then like like even before they like kind of like grouped hugged, I'm like, oh, this is where gonna be like Woody Harrelson's gonna be like just leap into the crowd or something, and then just save them all. But no, I'm glad it turned out the way it did. Got that nice drive off into the sunset at the end, so that was good.
Just married, yeah.
I enjoyed that part when they were running into the tower and Madison and I don't know, the other guy, Berkeley or whatever.
Just dropping shit.
They were dropping stuff, and
Oh
it was
my
like
God,
very
dangerous.
graphic.
They were so precise. They were throwing watermelons like 200, 300 feet with pinpoint precision headshots. Like 4 times in a row, like 7 times in a row. They were so sick that that was crazy to me.
It was so satisfying. Well. Every time one of them would pop and they die. Oh,
I thought that was like danger close.
Super,
I'm like,
super dangerous.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that happened.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else.
I guess I'm curious, Taylor, how do you feel about no deaths?
I'm very okay with that. I honestly thought Woody Harrelson was going to die when that 2-pack zombie, the cop and the prisoner.
2-pack. I thought you were talking about like Tupac or something.
They grabbed onto Woody Harrelson's leg, and I was like, oh God, he's going to slip, and he's going to die.
So,
I'm glad he didn't.
So go ahead.
I was just quickly going to say, when they're fighting off Albuquerque and Flagstaff, there was one moment that it looks like Flagstaff gets really close to like biting Columbus, and like it kind of looks like he like gets really close to biting his hand, but I think it's Tallahassee that kind of like pushes him away. But like for a second there, I'm like, oh, maybe he actually got bit like secretly, and then like, they're gonna like play off that thing. So that would have been interesting. But
there's a few moments where the things that they do, I would never do. I would like I have two scenarios, like two of the scenarios from
What are
the
your
movie
rules?
I would never do. My rules, yeah.
Or what would you call
my
them?
guides?
Because rules and commit you
My
both
guidelines,
guides?
yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Taylor's guides.
Taylor's guides. I would never stick an 8-ball into like a pool, or the 8-ball into a zombie's mouth. Or
I think it was that moment
Flagstaff.
actually. I think it was that moment actually when I thought he got bit, because it looked like he puts. Because
how do you not get bit? Right?
How do you not get bit? Your fingers are gonna get something on them. Like
At the
he
very
does it
worst, you're getting some
precisely.
zombie slobber on you.
Yeah. My other rule or my other guideline would be Tallahassee was tackling zombies like no tomorrow. I'm not tackling zombies to the ground.
Yeah, he's
That's very
definitely full
exposing.
macho in that sense.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's kind of off track, but just think about like the T800s when the double tap wasn't working, and then it goes like 9 tuplet, whatever
That was
the number
fun.
was.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna introduce a new rule. It was just like the curb stuff, because I feel like honestly, if you just squish their head, like that's clearly
he exploded that head for sure.
Oh yeah.
I really, really like that reveal. Yeah, when he comes around and he dodges the 2 shots and it pisses Tallahassee off, and then he does like the double tap, and then he Wichita is like turn around, and Tallahassee looks and he starts shooting. He's like, what in the fuck? Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
I guess I'm choked up on the no deaths because it makes me question. Like, one, I feel like they really should have. It makes me question what they wanted. Like, do they want to do another one? What do you guys think?
I don't think so.
You
I
think
think
sequels
they're
are
done.
happening?
No, I think they're
so
done.
if that's the case, then I don't know. Is a happy ending? I guess they won't decide to go with a happy ending, but maybe like a big emotional death could have been good for the movie. I don't know.
Maybe it worked for me. Like I'm not. I don't know. Like are you? I guess we didn't ask you how you were.
Well,
with deaths.
It's not like, I don't know. I feel bad to say I really wish this character died, but I feel like that's. I feel like there was very little stakes in this movie because of that, right? Because think about how they play up like these Terminator zombies. There's ninja zombies. Like there's an evolution. There's all this shit going wrong. But what is the result of that? The result of that is that 2 new characters that we've met for 2 minutes die. So it's like, okay, there's not doesn't really matter too much. So I just feel like there isn't really stakes.
No.
Right? Like doesn't really feel like there was that much of a threat really at the end of the day.
So, like on that note, do you think that takes away for the film, even though we've been saying that like the realism is just kind of out the window? Or do you think do you think it hurts it because there is no stakes, or at the end of the day it's just a fun.
Yeah, I guess I just don't see. This is weird because it's a mashup between comedy and like zombie movie, right?
Yeah, like thriller action.
Yeah, that's I guess the difference there. Where if it was a straight zombie movie, then that's something that you like expect, right? That's just like a part of the genre. But I guess when a comedies almost always end in a happy ending, so that does make sense. But at the same time, I feel like if you aren't planning on doing more of this, then maybe they should have gone for that, because there is still emotional moments in these movies.
For sure.
They are smaller, and some things that like should be really taxing on a character just aren't. Like when they leave, I don't know, when the girls leave or when Little Rock leaves, like it kind of wears on them, but really it just feels like they take it more as motivation than anything. Like we can get back on the road just like we used to. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I'm feeling like it could have added to this movie, and if Tallahassee did make that sacrifice at the end of the movie, maybe that would have been a good send off for that character.
Yeah,
not sure.
Do you think it would have been that character out of anyone? Like who would you?
Well, I guess I'm looking at it at the way the movie was structured. In that moment, I think very easily could have gone that way. Yeah, where that zombie that comes in right at the end and grabs him and pulls him down, like that could have been a good moment. Other than that, I think you'd have to rework a scene in there that would happen. I mean, I guess just like you were saying, when the 8-ball, like he could have bit his hand there, and that could have been in Columbus. But I think that would have been definitely underserved for how much time we've spent with him. But Tallahassee, if he had died right at the end, making that big sacrifice for everyone, I think that could have been a good send off. So I think that's the one I would pick based on what this movie was, because I think you have to change very little. You would just have to make like a new ending, but really you could have the same ending without them going off and saying, "Oh, Tallahassee was a great guy, but we're still alive." You know, Zombieland, that happens. I don't know. I guess that's where my thoughts. Like, I'm not. Would I ding a point for not killing someone? No. Like, there's so much of this movie that you just have to accept, right? And I think already, because it's that kind of movie, you already take away a bit from it. Like, to me, it's a really fun movie. I enjoyed it, but in no world could I give this like a perfect 10 or something, right? There's just too many little things that the movie doesn't care to answer, which is fine because the movie doesn't take itself seriously. But I don't really know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it away to some really random point that I kind of remembered.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just great humor points that I wish I could have my phone out in the theater and like wrote down my notes, because there's a lot of things I forgot and a lot of humor points that a lot of one-liners that just had me just laughing, and I kind of forgot some of them. But one I just remembered, actually, the group sex guy, when they're like kind of planning out their strategy or whatever, and then Tallahassee's just like, "You're gonna die first." I forget specifically what he says after it, but it was just so
Thank
like,
you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a shock, like humor thing.
Yeah,
where
all
I'm
of them
like,
are like so sad in that moment. Wichita's like, oh, just her sad eyes. It's so funny.
No, it was so good. So yeah.
One other point of realism that I want to bring up, because it really bothered me at the very end. So as I'm talking about, like, the zombies jump and the final one grabs onto his leg, and then they save him, and it's all good. They're standing there talking for like a couple minutes. All the people are still on like the main patio area, and then a fucking random Homer walks out of nowhere, and like they're like, oh shit, they're freaking out, and then it just walks off the edge. But like, how did none of those 40 people see that thing walking?
Yeah, he's not a small guy.
That to me was really odd.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, because when we were talking about earlier, like the return of Madison, and we were like kind of like, we didn't need her back. Like the plot didn't need to bring her back. That was just such an extreme of like, there's no reason to have that Homer there. Like there's,
I thought it was actually there to kill either Madison or Berkeley. I thought
right
that
at
was
the very end.
Yeah, right.
They
at the
die
very
to a
end.
Homer, and it's kind of like,
it's like a redemption.
You didn't like this character, or this character was annoying. We're gonna take him out, and it's like a
that would have been kind of funny, but like
if it was Berkeley, I would have been down. I guess.
But they didn't do that. It was just walking by, and
yeah, it was.
I thought I 100% agree.
Didn't really need to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
I kind of laughed at it. I thought because they all like panicked and freaked out, and then they just chilled because they're like, oh, it's a Homer, and it just
like,
walks
well,
off.
like they used like the Homer isn't it too much, but like the one scene when they're by like the bus or whatever, and then Tallahassee's up on the roof, and then I forget who says it, but they're like, oh, one more. Oh wait, it's just a Homer. Don't waste your ammo. Like I thought like the humor when they used that character that way, it worked for me, but like right at the end, I was also just like, it was just so unnecessary personally.
I'm in the same boat there. I'm checking through my notes. I think we've kind of talked about it all.
Yeah.
There's not too many franchises that I can think of that have a sequel in terms of zombie genre. So can you name another zombie?
That's an aspect of your main characters dying off or losing main characters midway through movies, right? There's less, like, you'd have to come up with new characters for a sequel, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
Because I got one that
what is it?
28 days and 28 weeks later. I think that's the only that I can think of, the only zombie franchise that has a sequel.
I feel like those are underappreciated movies.
They are underappreciated. They're really good movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
haven't seen it.
there's no others. There's like zombie shows and all that, but there's no like movies that have direct sequels. So I commend Shaun of the Dead.
Isn't there like
sequel.
multiple Dawn of the Dead movies?
They're different
or are they
iterations.
Like anthologies?
Yeah, I think it's like anthology, different iterations, not in the same universe. Maybe, I don't know.
Each sequel is a prequel. It's like a further prequel.
It's like just the movie Memento, but over the course of a full series. That'd be too much.
I got another question then for you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about running zombies? And then 1 to 10, how do you feel about slow zombies? Like, what's your
I don't like rating things on a scale of 1 to 10. No, I'm just kidding. Ron, what was the second one?
How do you feel like with running zombies and slow zombies?
Okay, so I guess I'm not understanding the question.
How
do I
understand
feel
the
about
question.
them?
Yeah,
like,
well,
am
you
I
have like
scared?
You have your are you scared? Like, what scares you more? Like, what can you handle more? Because you have like your basic walking zombies. I'm not talking homers. I mean like just basic, walkers, and then you have like the crazy ones that are running at you, like World War Z kind of zombies. Or
let's
whatever.
just take like, I don't know if you play, but like what's it called? Dying Light.
Yeah.
So the daylight zombies, would that be the walking zombies? And then like the volatiles, is that a chasing zombie? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, look at that way.
I'm kind of picturing like I Am Legend style, like agility,
that would
high
be,
agility stat.
Parkour.
Like they're maxing out that acrobatics if they're playing Skyrim sort of thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously the runners are more terrifying. I guess to answer this question fully, I need to know what a 10 is, because there's clearly something that is at the very end. But that would be like the Terminator zombies. So is that is that the same world, right? Because if the runners are like, that could be the 10 out of 10. It's all relative, isn't it? For the zombies?
Yeah.
It is.
I wish I could answer this question better, but there's too many variables.
I'll take a swing at it.
Yeah, go for it.
So I do feel like I need more information to answer this fully, but like for the runners, they're very dangerous, right? Like they will bite me as soon as they.
Well, yeah, they're sprinters.
So I feel like those would be the scariest, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I mean, you would know when they're coming.
Like I'll give that a full 10 until I know there's something even scarier.
But like a slow zombie that like would he be interested in me, or he just kind of sees me and then he's like,
well, slow ones are probably like they're creeping around, like they're the ones that you wouldn't expect, like you were in the house and they would just walk around the corner.
I'll give that a
6.10.
6.10. Yeah, equaling 7.
That was my follow-up question. Yeah, that is interesting because I feel like all zombies would be pretty freaky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like at least a 5.
Yeah, like if I saw a sprinting zombie and he was trying to get me, but I was up on a roof, I feel like the rating would be lower. But if I was on the ground, I'm sitting down eating like a taco, and then I turn and I just see him sprint at me, that's like a 10 out of 10. And then a slow zombie, if he's far away and he's kind of walking towards me, that's like a 2. But if he's right around the corner, or he's in my house and I can hear him wandering around, that's like a 9, I feel like. So it's very situational, I feel.
How do you feel in the scenario where you're just sitting on the ground eating a taco and like in this real world zombies aren't around, but there's a person full on sprinting towards you?
Not a zombie.
Not a zombie, but a person, and you can't.
And I know he's locked eyes with me.
Yeah. Are we talking Get Out? Like when the fucking groundskeeper?
I would draw my taco and start sprinting at him. Play a game of chicken. No, that'd be pretty freaky. It would depend on what the character looks like. Like if it is literally Brad Pitt, like the actor, I would be like, this is awesome.
Open arms.
Yeah, exactly. But if it is Hannibal Lecter looking dude, like he's wearing like a whatever those suits are called.
Beautiful suit.
No, like one
of those suits.
Yeah,
straight jacket.
Straight jacket. Thank you. Like if he's wearing one of those, sprinting at me, and he's just foaming at the mouth, I would be like 9 out of 10 again.
That's a good point.
That's almost a zombie.
That's almost a zombie.
That's not even a 10 though. Zombie's 10.
Well, his arms are tied. I feel like I could just
and the zombie's arms aren't tied. So that's where the 10 comes in.
That's another question I would have to ask Taylor. Like, what is the zombie's condition? Like, is he missing a leg?
I feel like this is a after 9 topic. Like, what would you do in a zombie? It's always a fun topic. Where would you go first? Where would you not go first?
We'll continue on that topic on an after
100%.
9.
Yeah. Any other points on this movie? I expelled all my notes.
I have no more notes.
I got nothing else.
Well, you guys like to rate your things. So what do you got? Now, you rated what did you rate The Runner? Would
you recommend this film before I go to my rating?
Yeah, I definitely would.
I guess you said that in the
I definitely would.
section.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? We usually do that in the spoiler free, but I mean as it's on here, like there's definitely a lot of little things in this movie that I think in other genres would bother me a lot more, but knowing what the first movie is going into this one, like I just accept a lot of those things. I know the first movie didn't answer a lot of questions, like little things, realism things. So that's not really, this is a zombie movie, but also a comedy. And so that's where I can kind of have that suspension of disbelief and just kick back, eat some popcorn, drink my Coke and watch a movie and have a good time. And it definitely succeeded in that regard. And I think there is some really good stuff in here. There's a little bit of crap as well, but I think a couple of Golden Geeks nominations for certain things I think could pop in there. To find out what, you'll have to wait until January or something. But yeah, it's a really fun movie, and cool. I did not think it would land as well as it did.
Absolutely.
Considering the baggage that these kind of movies have, the decade-long jump, but somehow it's stuck the landing, and that is something to look up to. So.
Absolutely.
Good job, Reuben.
I got a question for you for someone that recently listened to our retro. Do you know what I rated the first movie?
Yeah, you gave it a solid 7.
A solid 7. Wow,
you gave it a 7. Taylor gave it a 9.
Ooh.
I feel like that's lower than what it should have been. Because I honestly, for this one, I'm feeling like it's an 8. But at the same time, I feel like it's not as good as the first one, just because the first one was the original and it kind of set like what everything was. So
that's an interesting question. Which one do I like more of the two?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me.
Do your
that,
ratings first, and then we'll do that.
Yeah, so I would like to bump Zombieland 1 up to an 8.
Right, that's why I don't know numbers, because everything's relative. Once you've seen the second one, it changes how you feel.
I'm gonna say it's basically the same as Zombieland 1, but not quite there. So
really,
a little bit.
Well,
it was mostly like the Emma Stone character. I didn't like her as much, and then I really didn't like Little Rock in this film.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
Those were like the big knocks, but I did like the introduction of the other characters.
I almost
for the
feel
most part.
like the peaks of some of the laughs become a lot higher because, as we've mentioned, the first movie isn't like just a big haha movie.
And like I felt like there was more action in this one because there must have been a higher budget, right?
Definitely a higher budget and effects and whatnot.
Yeah, but so
more sets.
I want to rate it basically the same as Zombieland 1, but just a little bit less.
Fair enough. Mr. Field, the guy who watches Zombieland 1 every 7 months and gave it a 9 out of 10.
What's the countdown at right now? How many days till you're 7 months?
Well, you just watched it recently, I'm guessing.
I watched it like recently within our retro, which was even then like a few weeks ago. So I'm still good for another like 6 months. But I was very pleasantly surprised with this movie. I was very excited and very happy and very, very thoroughly enjoyed it after walking out of the theater. Lots of laughs and lots of great moments that the first one definitely a 9 out of 10 is warranted, and I would give this one a 9.5 out of 10. I definitely like it more than the first one. I really liked it a lot.
I was going to say, I think I'd give this like the equivalent of a 0.5 higher than the first one.
Interesting.
Just because I think that had some of the peaks, some of the comedic moments like really hit for me. The fucking Leaning Tower of Pisa scene just had me dying, and honestly, I think Tallahassee, he got dialed up a couple notches, and even though like Little Rock and Berkeley is kind of annoying, like some things do get toned down, but he got dialed up a few notches, and I think that like I feel like his performance alone is just so satisfying. Just how this rage of a man just destroying this car and freaking out about everything.
I totally agree with you, and I'm honestly starting to see why you don't like rating things, because I feel like to give it an actual rating, I would have to see it a couple more times.
Because then you just put it in a box.
Yeah, that is true.
These movies don't fit in a box.
That is true. So, yeah, like
they fit in a steel case.
I'll align it with the first one.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just pumping it over the first one a little bit because I loved it so much more. But I'm not giving it full, A++ because. Yeah, I didn't care for the Berkeley character that much, and I would have liked to seen the special zombies, a little bit more. But it's not like it's things I can deal with, I can live with. I will easily see this movie again. Like I said at the beginning of the cast, I would pay to see this in theaters. And I highly recommend it to other people if you're a fan of zombies. And I just think it's Halloween time. It's a great time to sit in the movie theater, watch some zombies, and go see it with your friends. It's such a great film that you'll.
I think so. I think
with.
Definitely go with a friend if you are going to go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting just listening back to our retro in the first. Like Taylor, you were definitely excited, but I think even like just all three of us were a little bit concerned because of those trailers. So I think like just a good job all around. The way they marketed it, not necessarily my cup of tea, but overall it ended up landing for sure. Mm-hmm. So that's Zombieland 2. It's in the bucket. Awesome. Will we get another one in a decade? We'll see you then. If it happens and the Geekverse is around, we'll come back for that. We'll reunite. Where can you find us on the web? The most important place is, of course, Patreon, because we're pumping out all sorts of content. There's some sort of... Oh, no. There's a guy with a spoon. Oh, fuck. This is... I don't know if you guys have met this guy before. What are you doing here, man? You've had your cast this last month.
My man, Kirkland.
Michael Snell.
Greatest gauntlet player of all time.
Michael Snell II.
You're banned from the gauntlet when I come up, so that's great. Taylor Field. This little man, Taylor Field.
You're not in the camera, sir.
I'll slide over.
This is the little man, Taylor Field, right here. I've challenged you to a match for this November 2nd, 24-hour stream.
What's on that spoon, Michael?
I've heard nothing. The most important peanut butter, Zack Snyder, he churns peanut butter on the weekends.
Is it made with some sort of his bodily fluids?
His blood,
his
blood. Creatine in it
his
too.
Blood.
That's why it keeps me young.
Shit.
It keeps me young. It's the cleanest blood next to
Jesus.
Yeah. Kirkland, he's going to be taking some before his gauntlet. You've not heard from, you've not said anything. 24-hour stream. I'm challenging you to a death match because last year you were just like a little pain in the ass.
Don't look at me, Taylor. Look at him.
I heard, I heard you months ago talking about how Raw or Not was the best spin-off show, and it's not. It's not. It's Honka Honka.
I smell a lot of peanut butter on that spoon.
I can smell it over here too. It's punching the nostrils.
Zack butter.
What was the question?
November 2nd, you and me, death match.
Yeah. I mean,
That's what I thought.
I don't have any reason not to accept it.
That's all I need.
Michael's gone. Thanks, Michael. I think he lives in the basement of. We're in Travis's house right now. Obviously, I think he lives in the basement. So
He definitely knows where the spare key is.
Here's your hat, Taylor. You can have that back.
Sorry, your teammate threw this at you.
So there you go. You have a match against
Don't be sorry,
Michael Snell II, a known psychopath.
I definitely did
who's
not
also
see that coming.
Kirkland's manager.
He's a great manager.
Is he? Okay.
For the time being.
I mean, you're doing good in the gauntlet. So
Thank you
I'll
very
believe
much.
it.
Thanks for
what the fuck was I saying? Go find us on Patreon, where we are pumping out all sorts of stuff. Like our Zombieland Retro, for example, was there like a month early. You can get all of our stuff on there ad free if you want to check that out. And we're definitely working a lot on the After 9 episodes, the exclusive show, where we have more time in the next couple months and January and stuff. So we'll have some consistent stuff up there for you. But definitely a place to check out. Next week, Lighthouse Review. Within a few days after that, you can look forward to some sort of Outer Worlds and Call of Duty stuff. Next week as well, we're also going to do a Marvel Knights fan cast. So similar to if you watched our Spider-Man or Batman ones in the summer, just pick some people that we want to see for certain characters like Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Luke Cage, all those kind of Marvel Knights sort of characters. So that will be a fun cast as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. And
let's kick some dicks.
Let's kick some dicks.
Kick some dicks.
I'm not taking Travis. Let's kick some dicks.